to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Nermeen Sheikh. In Minneapolis, at least 50 people were arrested outside a federal building as they were marking The War and Peace Report. I'm Nermeen Sheikh. In Minneapolis, at least 50 people were arrested outside a federal building as they were marking the one-month anniversary of Renee Good's fatal shooting by an immigration officer. Renee Good's wife, Becca Good, issued a statement over the weekend saying, quote, "You know my wife's name and you know Alex's name, but there are many others in this city being harmed that you don't know. Their families are hurting just like mine, even if they don't look like mine," end quote. This is Annie Ganga, Renee Good's sister.
No matter the adversity she faced, Renee always remained so tender and open. And was a caretaker and protector. I'd like to acknowledge that this type of violence isn't new, and how unfair it is that the way someone looks garners more or less attention. And I'm so sorry that this is the reality.
Meanwhile, Jim Stolley, the chief counsel for ICE in Minnesota, resigned from his position after 31 years on the job. This comes as government prosecutors are facing a surge of immigration cases that are overwhelming the court system. Last month, the top federal judge in Minnesota, Patrick Schiltz, criticized ICE for violating more than 100 judicial orders, saying, quote, "ICE has likely violated more court orders in January 2026 than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence." In more news from Minnesota, a Mexican immigrant whose skull was broken in 8 places during his arrest by ICE last month has described harrowing details of his ordeal. Alberto Castañeda Mondragon says he was violently pulled from a friend's car outside a St. Paul shopping center by 4 masked men, thrown to the ground, handcuffed, then punched and struck in the head by a steel baton. He says he was then dragged into an SUV and taken to an ICE jail inside the Whipple Federal Building,
Nice.
where he says he was
real nice
again. Castañeda Mondragon's injuries are inconsistent with ICE officers' claims to the nurses who treated him that he, quote, "purposefully ran headfirst into a brick wall."
What?
In related
Sure.
news, more than 1,000 workers at Google have signed a petition calling on their company to cancel
We don't believe you,
contracts with
chat.
ICE and Customs and Border Protection. They write, quote, "Google is now a prominent node in a shameful lineage of private companies profiting from violent state repression. We must use this moment to come together as a Google community and demand an..."
Wow. Yeah, because they're providing services to ICE.
"end to this disgraceful use of our labor," unquote. In Massachusetts, a federal judge has put a temporary hold on data sharing between the IRS, Social Security Administration, and ICE. In a statement, the New York Immigration Coalition applauded the order, writing, quote, "With tax season here, this ruling ensures that immigrant families can meet their civic obligations without fear of retaliation or surveillance."
That's interesting.
President Trump is refusing to apologize for publishing a racist video that depicts former President Obama and Michelle Obama as apes. Trump's account on his social media platform, Truth Social, posted the video late Thursday night, where it remained for 12 hours before it was deleted around noon on Friday. It prompted rare criticism of the president from Republicans, including Tim Scott, the Senate's only black Republican. Scott said, quote, "It's the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House," unquote, adding that he was praying it was fake.
Where's Amy?
But speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, Trump defended his actions.
Mr. President, a number of Republicans are calling to apologize for that post. Is that something you're going to do?
No, I didn't make a mistake. I mean, I look at a lot of thousands of things, I looked at the beginning of it. It was fine. They had that one post, and I guess it was a takeoff. By the way, a lot of people covered. If you look at where it came from, I guess it was a takeoff on The Lion King, and certainly it was a very strong post in terms of voter fraud.
The Justice Department is said to allow Congress access to unredacted files related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, starting today. Epstein's associate,
Voter?
convicted sex trafficker,
What the fuck?
is also set to testify
Oh my
before
God.
the House Oversight Committee in a virtual deposition closed to the public. Maxwell's lawyers have
She looks
indicated
weird
that
with
she
long
will
hair.
invoke the Fifth Amendment and declined to answer questions. Attorney General Pam Bondi is expected to testify on Wednesday over the Justice Department's handling of the Epstein files. It comes as Republican Congressmember Thomas Massey is pushing for Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to resign
God.
after emails revealed Lutnick lied when he claimed to have ended his relationship with Epstein in 2005. At the National Prayer Breakfast last week, President Trump called Congressmember Massey a moron. Meanwhile, in the UK, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, has resigned over his role in recommending the appointment of Peter Mendelsohn, a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, as ambassador to the United States. Israel's Security Cabinet has approved new rules to tighten Israeli control over the occupied West Bank. The rules will make it easier for Israeli settlers to buy land in the occupied West Bank and give Israeli officials stronger powers to enforce laws on Palestinians in the area. Meanwhile,
That would suck, dude.
The Intercept has uncovered the Pentagon's $210 million deal to buy advanced cluster munitions from an Israeli weapons manufacturer. The U.S. will pay the Israeli company Tomer
What is happening?
over a period of 3 years to produce new 155-millimeter shells containing smaller submunitions. The Cluster Munition Monitor has recorded nearly 25,000 cluster munition injuries and deaths since the 1960s, the vast majority from unexploded remnants. Iran's foreign ministry says it's open to a deal to limit its ability to enrich uranium in exchange for relief from sanctions. But Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said any new agreement must include the right to enrich nuclear material for peaceful purposes. His comments came after U.S. and Iranian diplomats held indirect talks in Oman on Friday as U.S. warships gathered within striking distance of Iran amid Trump's threats of a new attack.
Iran's power lies in its ability to resist bullying.
Yeah. Okay.
Testimony and pressure from others. The U.S. and their allies are afraid of our atomic bomb, but we are not looking for an atomic bomb. Our key strength is the power to say no to the great powers.
In more news from Iran, security forces have announced the arrest of 4 senior opposition politicians, including the head of the Reformist Front, widening a crackdown on dissent that's left thousands of people dead since protests erupted in late December. Those arrested face charges of plotting to overthrow Iran's Islamic regime. Separately, the jailed Nobel Peace Laureate Narges Mohammadi has ended a hunger strike after an Iranian court on Saturday sentenced her to another 7 years in prison. She was on medical leave from prison in December when she was arrested at a memorial service for a well-known human rights lawyer who died under mysterious circumstances. Mohammadi has already spent over a decade behind bars. A Hong Kong court has sentenced media mogul Jimmy Lai to 20 years in prison. Lai had already been in detention for more than 5 years while serving a separate prison term on fraud charges. Lai was arrested back in 2020 under the national security law that China implemented in Hong Kong following the pro-democracy protests in 2019. He was the founder of the Hong Kong newspaper Apple Daily, which ceased operations in 2021 after police arrested the paper's employees and froze its assets. In Sudan, a drone attack by the paramilitary group RSF hit a vehicle carrying displaced families on Saturday, killing at least 24 people, including 8 children. The attack took place close to the city of Al-Rahad in North
think my mic is a little
province,
jacked, dude.
according to the Sudan Doctors Network, a group tracking the country's civil war. The conflict in Sudan is the world's largest humanitarian crisis, with more than 40,000 people killed and more than 14 million people forced to...
Oh no, that's terrible. Yeah, I fixed it. That's better. I sound better now, right? Damn, how do you get low latency on YouTube? Guys, I'm about 5 seconds behind on YouTube.
Flee their homes. A federal judge has unfrozen $16 billion in funds withheld by President Trump for rail infrastructure between New York and New Jersey. Friday's court order came as President Trump reportedly told Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer that he would release the funds if Schumer supported renaming Dulles International Airport in Virginia and Penn Station in New York City after him. New Jersey's acting Attorney General Jennifer...
Bro, all he cares about is like buildings named after him. It's like his thing. I don't understand it.
Davenport issued a statement saying, quote, "The Trump administration must drop this campaign of political retribution immediately and must allow work on this vital infrastructure project to continue." In Italy, thousands of people marched through the streets of Milan on Saturday to protest the environmental, social, and economic impacts of the Winter Olympics. They're also objecting to Israel's participation in the Games and the presence of immigration and customs enforcement agents with the U.S. delegation. Police fired tear gas and water cannons as some protesters approached a hockey venue. Inside the Games, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance was met with a chorus of boos when he appeared at the opening ceremony on Friday evening. This is how the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation covered the brief on-camera appearance by J.D. and Usha Vance.
Individual sport, what an honor for her.
There is the Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife Usha. Ooh, those are not, those are a lot of boos for him.
Those boos were not audible in video of Vance's appearance broadcast across the United States by NBC and then widely shared online, including by the White House's social media account.
They're laughing.
And Puerto Rican superstar Bad Bunny has made history as the first artist to perform a Super Bowl halftime show almost entirely in Spanish. Bad Bunny's performance came a week after he publicly criticized ICE at the Grammys during his victory speech for Album of the Year. During the halftime performance, Bad Bunny held a football that read, quote, "Together we are America." The performance ended with Bad Bunny holding a light blue pro-independence variation of the Puerto Rican flag. He was followed by dancers holding the flags of every country in the Americas.
God bless America. Sea Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia,
one continent, Canada.
Venezuela, Guyana, Panamá, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, México, Cuba, República Dominicana, Jamaica, Haití, las Antillas, United States, Canadá, a my motherland, mi patria, Puerto Rico. Seguimos aquí.
President Trump called the performance absolutely terrible, one of the worst ever, and an affront to the greatness of America. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy
Kindly
Now!,
fuck yourself, sir.
democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Nermeen Sheikh.
Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe
No, you won't see ads on my YouTube channel.
to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported
Maybe?
journalism,
I don't
go
know.
to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Narmeen Sheikh with Amy Goodman. The opening ceremony of the
She's
Winter
opening the
Olympics
show
in
now?
Milan, Italy, was held on Friday. Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance attended the ceremony and were met with a chorus of boos when their image was displayed on screen. If you watch the ceremony on CBC, that's the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, this is what you would have heard.
In an individual sport, what an honor for her.
There's the Vice President, J.D. Vance, and his wife, Usha. Oop. Those are not. Those are a lot of boos for him. Whistling, jeering, some applause.
But here in the United States, announcers on NBC made no reference to the boos, which also could not be heard on the U.S. broadcast. In a statement, an NBC Sports spokesperson denied editing any crowd audio of the opening ceremony. In Milan, there have been multiple protests in recent days over the Trump administration's decision to send U.S. ICE agents to provide security for the U.S. delegation. Some U.S. athletes have made comments about the political situation in the United States. This is U.S. Olympic skier Hunter Hess speaking at a press conference.
I think it brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think.
Yeah.
It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't.
No
I
shit.
think for me, it's more.
My brother has
I'm
a good
representing my
mustache.
friends and family back home, the people that
brother.
represent it before
Let's
me,
go, brother.
all the things that I believe are good about the U.S.
Thank you.
I just think if it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S. So yeah, I just kind of want to do it for my friends and my family and the people that support me getting here.
That was U.S. Olympic skier Hunter Hess. President Trump responded by calling him a real loser. For more, we go to Jules Boykoff, author of 6 books on the Olympics, including Power Games, a political history of the Olympics. He co-wrote a piece with Dave Zirin for The Nation. Get ready for this year's undemocratic, debt-ridden, and mobster-infused Winter Olympics. ICE thugs in the streets, mafia meddling, and billions in waste. Seems like the games are off to a great start. Great start was the subtitle. Jules Boykoff played for the U.S. under-23 men's national soccer team between 1989 and 91. His forthcoming memoir is titled Kicking. He's joining us from Toronto. So, Jules, that's quite a title of your piece. Can you start off by...
Okay, yeah.
You titled your piece, Get Ready for This Year's Undemocratic, Debt-Ridden, and Mobster.
Here's a longtime Republican.
No, we want to go on. Moving on. Okay, so there's the news. There's like, you know, a little bit of Democracy Now! Chat for you.
I bet you know Ken Griffin speaking out on this.
And I think that this administration has definitely made missteps in choosing decisions or courses that have been very, very enriching to the families of those in the administration. And that calls into question, is the public interest being served?
That calls into question. You think?
So I think it's important to put very enriching in context. The New York Times reported last week that very enriching in the Trump family in the last year is $4 billion. $4 billion. We know that the bribe from the UAE was $500 million in connection with which they received our most sensitive AI chips that the Biden administration had declined to provide because of concerns about Chinese acquiring our technology. Now they have that technology. So they have access to it. So there's nothing that Trump won't do or sell to bring himself money. Whether it's pardons or whether it's deals with foreign governments or their families. I spent a career in the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act area, flying around the world, managing bribery and corruption cases. I've never seen anything ever I mean, I was in a case once where there was $100 bribe once, but I've never seen anything on the
He was
scale
the attorney,
of $500 million.
White House attorney.
In these terms, it's shocking. So when he says very enriched,
I just want to underscore. You have this FCPA experience. Again, in normal times, this is taken seriously. You're saying this is the biggest type of size of graft you've ever seen?
Ever. I mean, or read about or heard of. Now, I mean, Putin, in terms of nationalizing industries and whatever, financing is going to him and his family.
That's been going on for years, though.
I'm sure if
that's
Trump
what Trump
that,
is
he'll
using
try to
as
do even more because
the Russians kind of this oligarchy thing. They kind of got it down pat, right? So, it explains why Trump likes Putin so much, because what he's done to Russia and pretty much what he wants to do to America and was already done.
He wants to be number one.
A person of faith can vote for a Democrat. I really don't. And I know we have some here today, and I don't know why they're here. I had to win it. I needed it for my own ego. I would have had a bad ego for the rest of my life. Scriptures always tell us that blessed are the pure in heart. I don't know if that applies to me necessarily. I'm not so sure.
Donald Trump rambling, perhaps disinhibited, discussing that he doesn't have a good heart by his own admission there. I'm back with White House vet Ty Cobb. That raises, again, a recurring issue that you and others have spoken out about, that foreign allies have discussed, whether he is operating in a way that gives confidence and credibility to the United States
absolutely
or not.
not.
And that comes amidst
any answer but no is
and other things that he's done.
is telling me you're an
The
op,
White
sir.
House official account has posted these racist images they call memes about Keem Jeffries and others. But he took it up a whole nother notch in a post that was blatantly racist, that we're not showing on air, but blatantly racist about the Obamas. It's since been deleted. Headlines, which include Republicans saying that what Trump posted, which we're not showing, was, quote, the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House, which means Tim Scott, a Republican,
hey, what's up?
Apparently.
What's up, chatter? Yeah, I think it was. It's just some random stuff on YouTube. Did you like it?
Is aware of or tracks multiple racist things and says this is the worst. Boston Globe, Trump's racist post about Obama is deleted after backlash. The White House had, they note, earlier defended it. Axios Republicans condemned appalling Obama video posted by Trump. Ty, I raised both these issues for your response.
Hell yeah.
Well, thank you, Ari. I do think.
Unfortunately, I don't
start with the National Prayer Breakfast.
All I'm hearing on YouTube is it feels like AI generated shit these days, though. God damn it.
The excerpts that you showed, a National Prayer Breakfast historically was a place where humility and love of country and love of fellow man and safety net and caring for each other was the theme. This time with Trump, it's all spectacle. It's self-aggrandizement. It's talking about his own greatness.
Bro, it was last time too. Why, Ty Cobb, are you lying? He wants to be on the right side of history. I'll give it to him. He's got a good mustache, so.
Making up lies about his own greatness, and
synth.
However many wars,
anything
and,
synth, I'll take.
Bringing peace to places that are far
Base
from peaceful.
Excluded.
It's and then you add on to that the meme, the racist meme today. It's not the first racist meme, as you may.
By the way, I'm on YouTube right now, and I got a whopping 1 viewer, but it's funny because YouTube is fucking delayed like a goddamn commercial broadcast. What the fuck? I can't figure out how to get my YouTube to not be fucking 5 seconds behind. What is the
call that he's used with Obama? He had a meme of Obama
real time streaming. That's why Twitch rocks
in July. It's stunning.
Like I say some shit now, 5 seconds later, I'm already onto another fucking conversation, and YouTube's like, "Oh yeah, ho ho ho."
The way he has drained 250 years of dignity out of the office with acts like this.
And do you view this as all related, sort of how he acts at night, whether he's able to lead?
Oh, yes. I mean, the late night memes, the late night screeds, the The lies that get out unmonitored because at that hour there's
How
nobody.
is he awake at that time too?
Even if there was somebody he listened to, there's really nobody there to say you might want to rethink this. That's all related, and it's all part of his cognitive decline. I mean, there's so many physicians and psychiatrists around the country and certainly around the world now have commented on the frontal lobe issues that he has. The way that his dementia has aggravated his.
Yeah, he's got a frontal lobe problem, and then the blood's not circulating around his foot, so it's not getting back to his head either. That's not good. Oh, someone else.
Narcissistic personality disorder, which a sixth grader could diagnose if they had the DSM-5 in front of them. It is related. The White House tries to, prevent him from being perceived as other than whimsical on these things, but he's not. I mean, you looked it up. He's gone, and
appreciate it.
While these uncontrolled messages sometimes get in the way of the execution of the Stephen Miller, Stephen Vaught.
I mean, this guy is kind of laying it out a little bit for us, so. But.
Dismantling of democracy that's going on, and they have to deal with them. They achieved
who
one
isn't
of the
using
goals
AI now?
in helping them do that, which is the terror that people live with every day. That
like AI at work for me is like having an assistant now. Like assistant's going to tell me something wrong. That's fine. At least it gives me an idea where to start. Know what I mean? So as long as you don't rely on it to you know what I mean? Be reasonable sometimes. You have to reason through the answers still. Just like any Google search. Jesus Christ.
This man with serious cognitive decline has the nuclear codes.
Trump is that's some fucked up shit that he posted. That's like motherfuck. Now they really want to have this fucking 1930s racist America back. And in my opinion, the Super Bowl and the fact that Bad Bunny played it's no. The United States cannot sit here on an island by itself. It's part of a continent, okay? And it needs to stop acting like that. That's pretty much what I got from that. And I agree. And Trump's just here to, dig a deeper hole for the United States. Rather than addressing Puerto Rico's issues, like I've always talked about here, because I have Puerto Rican chatters is a fact. Not only because, but I talk about it because it comes up. We could solve the issues they have. No, they don't have to have a fucking corporate grid. Dumbasses on Twitter what? Why were they standing on electric poles when Puerto Rico's known for not having a good grid? How dumb can you fucking get, chat? No, you're not. You're right. His responses are shit no matter what. You're right. But yeah. I mean, America's answer to Puerto Rico has always been shit, period. It's never been good. So I never would say.
Any politician still talking about reforming ICE doesn't deserve the seat they're currently occupying.
Stephen Miller called Alex Preddy.
Yeah, let's reform the police. They're trying the same trick, though. This is that one trick that makes the leftists back down. It's reform. And it used to work back in the day. And all us leftists would be, yeah, let's reform. Let's see what happens. Let's reform. Yeah, let's check it out. And then we had, more shootings in the streets of police shooting black people and kneeing them out and killing them, and et cetera. And we're like, no, you know what? This is actually not working. We want to ACAB. Right? Abolish the police. And now they're going to try this with the Gestapo, too. They're saying the Gestapo, we just need to reform this Gestapo. Imagine saying that in Weimar, Germany, Guys, we need to reform the Gestapo. And I'm sure they did. I'm sure the libs said that. And this is how the libs enabled our man Hitler to take over, guys. This is how fascism took over in Weimar Germany. This is how it happened. The libs did it too. You know, the right's not wrong about some of the libs. They actually enabled it. And this is how they did it, you know? Passive aggressive. Yeah, most people don't know much about Puerto Rico unless they've tried to like look into it. And that's the thing. I know a little bit more than the most Americans probably, but I don't know shit either. Because I've heard stories from both sides of Puerto Rico. It's like the Cuba story. It's like the Cuba. Cuba's a similar story because you have the CIA propaganda and you have reality. Most Americans know the CIA propaganda, so.
With Vice President Vance and President Trump promoting that sentiment.
That's fine.
And that blatant lie from their pulpits. By this point, we have all seen that video. From multiple angles, we've seen it with our own eyes. Alex was not a terrorist. He was in no way an assassin. He was a U.S. citizen exercising his First Amendment right to protest ICE's lawlessness. This week, families in Eagle County, Colorado experienced another type of cruelty that fits into this administration's playbook. They found death cards held up in the automobiles of their family members who were taken away by ICE agents. These cards, I hold one up here, have a history of being used by white supremacist groups to intimidate people of color. Death cards is what they call them.
Nice. It's great, guys. I mean, you say they vote against statehood. I mean, I guess it's complicated there. Some of them want their own independent country. Like Bad Bunny, apparently. He's got the independent flag out there. I mean, I'm just talking about the grid and period. I don't give a fuck about the politics. Like, Tesla could go in and fix the grid. Come on, Elon. What's wrong with you? There's something I'd pat him on the back for.
These cards found in Colorado had the address and the phone number of the Aurora ICE detention facility printed on them. Aurora is a sister city, a neighboring city to Denver. Now imagine just for a second that you haven't heard from your brother.
No, it is. The grid there is bad. The scenario with the grid there is bad. It needs to be taken over, just like the grid here in California. The grid here in California is also owned in a similar way as Puerto Rico. It's capitalism run amok. Okay, now.
Your sister. And when you finally find their empty, abandoned car.
Exactly. And they can sell them solar panels and bullshit.
Sitting in the driver's seat.
You can plug in for 10 minutes. I don't know.
And this is cruelty for the sake of cruelty.
One of my chatters is from Puerto Rico, and from what I remember, they're not into independence, so I don't know.
It fits into the troubling pattern that we're seeing come from some of the top officials in the White House. Now, this morning I voted against government funding that would have handed billions of dollars to DHS. Continuing to fund ICE while federal officers terrorize our cities and kill people.
I live in the richest state, in the richest country in the world. I live in the 7th largest economy in the world, which is California, a state, not even a city, not even a country. The 7th largest economy is my state. The grid here where I live is run by PG&E. Most of the lines are overhead. I have lost power in my multi-million-dollar home that I live in. I don't own it. In California, 10 times this year for an exorbitant amount of time. Okay. Chat. Now, if you live in California and you don't live in an inner city like or like the city surroundings where all the power lines are buried. PG&E isn't about to go bury any of these motherfucking power lines because it costs billions of dollars. They just spend the money to trim the trees. And when a tree hits it, the power goes out for 8 hours. They don't fucking care. So, like I said, they're doing the same thing here. They're doing in Puerto Rico. They use it for leverage. Then they upcharge us. Now we're paying 50 cents for every kilowatt hour. Like, it used to be 5 cents.
People
anyway,
is unconscionable.
Well, actually, we have seen white supremacist tattoos
risking their lives, serving the government,
risking their lives, they're taking lives.
You're calling them Proud Boy
well, there's
militia.
plenty of people who like to do that in California, believe me.
Militia, but I think it's disgraceful.
I mean, it's not really a conspiracy.
BlackRock
is doing
but
that.
I think that there are white supremacist tattoos.
Look, BlackRock is buying all kinds of shit up. BlackRock and their elk, if you look a video up on YouTube about that, you can figure it out. You can find out about it. You can learn about it. It's like they're just buying everything.
On their
white supremacist federal officers.
Yeah, white supremacist federal officers.
Like, where are you going with this? Why would you say that?
So you might ask what this dipshit here, this billionaire, why he spends his time on CNN yapping and being in movies and shit. He's what you call I'm going to go out with the plebs as a billionaire and show them that we're not just all, losers and don't have a heart. You know what I mean? He's the PR billionaire. Get it? He's the PR wing of the billionaires. They have their own PR guy, and this is this guy here. Just remember that whenever you see Baldy here, and I love Baldies, but not this particular Baldy, so I'm not insulting him by calling him Baldy.
Going with my eyes, ears, and logic. There have been multiple ICE agents who have white supremacist
men and women working for the federal government.
But come on, they're not paying him enough. He's a billionaire. This is my point. He's a billionaire. He doesn't need money that much. He's not there to get paid. He's there to make sure that his other friends get paid and don't have their taxes. You know what I mean? Like,
risking their lives, carrying out a mandate, and they're white supremacists?
Yes, and you're a member of a cult, so I don't expect you to have
I think the generalizations here are a bit of an overreach.
Yeah, and let's not make personal attacks.
I think what most people would say in this country is we would like
attacks.
The police and ICE and everybody else to target people who have committed bad crimes in a...
No. That's the lib take. Fuck you. Fuck you, Jon Stewart, as much as I want to say this, and I never wanted to say this. I love Jon Stewart, and I've always liked his politics. Not far enough left for me. Fuck you. Abolish ICE. They don't deserve to exist. They've already ruined their fucking reputation. You cannot rebuild the reputation of the goddamn ICE Gestapo now. You're pretending like people like ICE. No one likes ICE. Okay? 50 million people like ICE in America. That's it. Maximum. 50 million.
A process that still honors our Constitution.
Yeah, you're one of those.
And the Bill of Rights. What we don't want
like ICE.
Is what seems to be overly aggressive, poorly executed trawling expeditions where 5-year-olds and grandmothers and people of mistaken identity and people in Target parking lots aren't getting the shit kicked out of them in an effort to satisfy.
He's saying, you guys, look, I liked it better under Obama. We didn't see this. You got to do it in the dark. You got to do it when we can't see it. I don't want to see the parking lot beating mama. Just do it the right way. Just reform. In other words, do it in the dark. We just want to see the numbers. Because these guys keep saying, even this guy, these libs keep saying, well, we don't like the murderers and rapists. We want them to get rid of the bad hombres, as fucking Fox News would say, right, chat? Bro, right white supremacy and racism, when you chatters, you got to understand something about white racism and being white. Okay? These aren't white supremacists. It doesn't matter. You cannot be a white supremacist and be a part of the racist agenda. And at this point, ICE is 100% the Gestapo arm of the racist MAGA cultists. I mean, what are you talking about right now? That's not, you don't have to be a white supremacist. I just got done saying that libs are enabling the fascism right now. The weak sauce that he's talking to you about, instead of being more abrupt like I am, in my opinion, he's being weak sauce lib, and this is what enables it more. You understand? What do you mean, what am I talking about?
Stephen Miller's bloodlust.
Oh, wait, you didn't
and his
subscribe.
quotas.
Never mind.
So, I mean, it was
Only
always
subscribers
going to be
can
like
rewind.
this,
That's the
right?
only
When
thing
you
you
look
get
at the
now.
numbers during the campaign, the sheer number of immigrants that they were claiming that they were going to deport, you were never going to be able to get to that number by arresting the worst of the worst, right? Because to get the worst of the worst, those are the people who are not showing up for court hearings, right? Those are the people who are in hiding. And so it takes investigation, it takes resources, it takes 8 to 10 man teams to go out and track these people down and arrest them.
Yes.
And so what you saw is very early on, you saw Stephen Miller's, there's a sort of infamous reported meeting that he had where he was screaming at people and saying, we need to be raiding Home Depot parking lots. We need to be casting these wide nets in the community. And the other thing that I think is really, the really damning thing is, for a lot.
I forgot you were my chatter with the most interesting take of all, like ultra nativist. I remember you now.
Long time, ICE prioritized the worst of the worst. Like that was who.
Like I said, you don't agree with me then that these fuckers are these two guys right here, the actual subject I'm talking about, that they're just fucking enabling fascism. Chatter. So
we directed our.
Chatter, if you actually want that, and that includes fascism, because I don't think that can happen without it. That means you want fascism then. Am I right? Let me know what you think about that.
Our resources at, and that makes perfect sense. When Trump took office,
because that's my disagreement with you is I don't feel like we can have, even if you wanted that, I don't want that. Never would. I don't agree with that view at all. That's why we disagree, but that's fine. You can't get that many people out of this country without fascism. Democracy can not exist with that sort of deportation agenda. If you know what I mean, that just physically can't. Oh, I agree with that. We have a great immigration, we have a great immigration policy of letting people come in and
2016, one of the first,
claim asylum when we need to get them processed. That's it.
Things he did was deprioritize.
They won't be illegal anymore. You won't have anyone to deport because, quote unquote, they won't be illegal because they'll have their papers properly. Like, what the fuck?
After migrants, so people who were here seeking asylum, people who didn't have a criminal record. Biden revoked that policy, and then Trump, within his first week of office last year, put it back in place. And so they aren't targeting the worst of the worst. They are going out and getting whoever they can, wherever they can. They're going to places where, every stereotypical kind of racist asshole thinks all the illegals are, right? Those are the places where they're going.
My name is Ali.
You got to remember, though, when I'm using fascism as a poll because most people will, because it brings to you the idea of what we're heading towards. And it actually is now in effect. It's like describing someone putting gas in their car. Okay? Like, that's what I'm doing. There's no, debate. Just because someone stops calling a fascist, they don't then become not a fascist, right?
And I am a resident of South Minneapolis.
Shadow hearing.
I'm a Bangladeshi American, born in northern Wisconsin, and I'm a disabled person with autism and a traumatic brain injury. Not all.
Why is this on my playlist? This is not even on my, what? This isn't on my playlist. Get the fuck off my.
Japan, the prime minister called a snap election, the quickest snap election.
Okay, chat. We get to hear from the most. Oh my god, this guy is so smart. He's genius level IQ. This guy will look you straight in the eye and tell you how dumb you are because he's so smart. That's right. I mean, everything you're saying and have said since you've been in my channel, if I look at your chat logs, basically you're crying for leftism and not understanding that's what you want. Even if you think you want immigrants out, you're thinking you want them out for the wrong reason.
Japan, the prime minister
We've
called
already
a
been
snap
around this
election, the quickest snap election in Japanese history. And boy, has she had a big victory today. She's going to have 2/3 majority in the upper house. President Trump endorsed her last week. She is a great.
Yeah, leftism is about like people pay for what they do, right? You do something wrong, you get kicked out. You do something wrong, illegal, you get tried. You know what I mean? What I think you should say, again, like I said, instead of saying you want them out, is you don't want them out because they're not illegal. They're just illegal because we've said they are.
Ally, great relationship with the president. And when Japan is strong, the U.S. is strong in Asia.
Mr. Besant.
And that's U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott.
Yes. So this is great. Now, Japan's now like a like de facto Trumpite state now. You know, like this woman is inspired by Trump and has won popularity, huge popularity in Japan. Japan loves this shit. And, you know, Japan's never been fascist, right? No. Never in history has Japan been fascistic whatsoever.
Besant with me yesterday praising Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi as
I know. So we don't talk about that, whatever. And I understand why you hate the term fascist. Other people like you have similar views about the word fascism because it scares the fuck out of them. It's probably why else would you hate it? Like, why does it sound high school? Because fascism isn't about show your paper, drive to get a job, and vote. It's about the functions of government being used in a way that is antithetical to anything you as a pleb need or want. I'm hyper-focused on oppression. And the root of oppression is fascism right now. That's why I focus on it. So you have to hit the biggest monster in the head. What?
And trusted ally of the United States.
I mean, I do.
After her landslide victory in the parliamentary elections overnight. The win gives Takaichi a strong mandate to strengthen ties with the United States and boost Japan's economy. Joining me now is Tennessee Senator and former ambassador to Japan, Bill Hagerty. Senator, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria. It's great to be with
you. You have a right
to
feel that way.
Birthday actually this morning.
That's America.
A wonderful day all around. And by the way, that was a great interview with Secretary Besant. That was a wonderful interview yesterday.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Senator, and happy birthday to your daughter. I want to get your take on what this means in terms of Japan. You spent so much time aligning the two nations as ambassador. What is your reaction to the parliamentary elections win?
I think it's an incredible show of strength at a very important time. Look, President Trump is hugely popular in Japan. The fact that he endorsed Prime Minister Takaichi ahead of this election, I think, showed great unity. I think it gave her a huge lift. And now she has a supermajority in the lower house there in Japan. That's going to give her the momentum and the impetus to make needed economic reforms and, importantly, to step up defense expenditures
The
to
thing
levels
is
well beyond anything that we've seen in the past. It's going to.
We could end up like really getting in with Japan now. Like, you know what I mean?
Strengthen our alliance and our relationship there with Japan and in the region. Who's not going to like this? Well, clearly the CCP, North Korea, Russia. But
I mean, even
for
as a
our allies in
leftist,
the
I don't have a
region,
problem
Japan.
with borders being closed and there being, like I said, the golden entrance. You know what I mean? That's fine.
And is taking an even stronger posture. Their economy is moving. Look at their Nikkei. The Nikkei hit 57,000, a new record there as well. You think about what that says about the overall confidence in the market to come. I'm feeling
Like if Trump wanted to do it right, he would have been like, we're going to put up the golden wall and then we're going to have a golden arch that says Trump. And you go through the golden arch. It says Trump. And then he'd be like, and then you get a gold card and you can come to America and make money. Like, that's how he could have done it right. Easy processing at the border. No waiting. In and out in 24 hours. As long as you don't rape, murder, kill, you're good. We don't like you. You guys stay out. This is Trump being a nice guy. I mean, instead, he's racist.
very good about our relationship with Japan. And Prime Minister Takaichi is coming to America in March to visit with President Trump. I'm looking forward to supporting that effort as well.
That is fantastic. She has been called Margaret Thatcher.
I think you're really focusing on that word illegals, and I agree with you. And we agree on this point because I don't want there to be an illegal anymore. There won't be someone on paper that's any illegal. The only reason they would be illegal is because there would be no reason to come here that way. There just wouldn't be. Like I said, you get the gold card at the arch. You get the golden card at the golden arches of America. You make the most money you ever made. You think you can make that money in Mexico? I don't think so. California has the best wages. I'd head over to California. They love you guys over there.
And I guess this victory gives her a lot of mandates to do what she wants.
What do you mean? The only people we don't want here are the rapists and murderers. No one disagrees on that. What the fuck are you talking about? It's a piece of paperwork otherwise. Seriously, how many times do I have to, like, you're not the only one that has this drilled into their head. It's because Fox News says criminal illegal aliens all the time. Criminal illegal aliens. And you guys hear that every fucking day. Like, look up the literal statute that says they're illegal. Like, it's so dumb. I hate that. I hate that when something like this sticks.
Wants to do. What will she do? Do you think she boosts the defense of Japan as she continues to push back on communist China, doesn't she?
I think that's
I don't care.
Very clear the direction that she's going to take it, Maria.
If they've served their time in the country that they're coming from, like, whatever. We'll figure it out. What would you do with a human here if they had to serve their time for murder? I mean, most people die because they get long sentences for murder. Usually they'll be dying in prison. I mean, obviously we got to know who the people are. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out who people are now. There's face scans, okay? If you think that when you go to the DMV that the picture they're taking is just a picture, you're wrong. I mean, it maybe have been 20, 30 years ago, but it's probably not anymore. It probably includes your retina scans. Hello?
Companies already made the commitment to eventually get to 2% of their GDP. That's a doubling from where they were. Prime Minister Abe always wanted to do this. But Japan has watched very closely China's aggression in the Taiwan Strait. Public sentiment has shifted. The Japanese public is clearly for a stronger defense right now. So I think what you'll see in Ambassador Glass,
in prison.
My successor there in
They
Tokyo,
served 30 years for prison
is Japan's going
whatever,
to continue
work
to
it out
step
with
up
the country. I don't
their
give a
defense
fuck.
posture, and more important,
We have a status
their
on them, at least.
interoperability with the United States, with South Korea, with Australia, with our allies in the region.
Chatter, what's happening now is against both you and me's idea of what we should be doing, because it also encourages lower wages and paying people really low wages, and then it keeps the economy at a low thing and keeps us down, keeps me down, keeps you and me down. Okay? Low wages are not good for anyone that's working for a wage, okay? Low wages keep everyone else's wages down. That's good for the capitalists. They get more money. They don't need more money. They've got enough.
To see more joint exercises and more coordination that's going to increase our forces there and multiply our capabilities in something beyond what we've ever seen before in the region.
That is wonderful. And that is why the president gave her his complete and total endorsement on Truth Social before this election.
Oh, I just told you what I do.
Let me turn now to the business at hand in the U.S. Congress locked in a
Not trying to make any
standoff
assumptions
over
on the
funding for the
chatter.
Department of
It's not
Homeland
what I'm here for.
Security. With money set to run out at the end of the week on Friday, I can't believe, Senator, that we're talking about another potential shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. This would affect TSA and travel, FEMA. It would affect border security enforcement. I spoke with Pennsylvania Senator, your colleague, John Fetterman.
That's a red herring. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't. They're not allowed to shut down critical infrastructure with it won't shut
yesterday,
down.
And he told me he is, in fact, expecting a shutdown of the department. Watch this. Do you expect the Department of Homeland Security to be forced to shut down on Friday? Are you going to vote to fund DHS?
No, I absolutely would expect that it's going to shut down. I know that the Democrats, we provided, I think it was 10.
I mean, that's your idea. I say, you know, we're a democracy. We come to a consensus. I don't give a fuck. We all decide on what the laws are. We follow them. I have to follow the fucking laws. I get put in prison. I mean, just like anyone that exists in America is still going to be held to those same standards. Any idea that a quote unquote illegal alien is getting special treatment is complete bullshit. Okay. Actual opposite.
And kinds of basic things. And
the rich white guys are getting away with all the murder and rape and stealing.
And then the Republican pushed back quickly, saying that that's like a Christmas wish list and that they're non-starters. I truly don't know what specifically are the Democrats.
And again, the only place this Fetterfuck guy can go on, like I said last week, is Fox News. I don't see him on the MS Now. I don't see him on even CNN. What the fuck? Fetterfuck.
Red lines that it has to be. Certainly not going to get all 10. But now, if I had to say,
no one ever, under my scenario that I'm painting with the golden arches, no one gets deported except for if they commit a crime. And in fact, they don't get deported then. They usually serve time here and then get deported. That's the way it goes. You murder someone as an immigrant, you go to jail for 30 years, and then you get deported. Unless ICE comes and gets you.
now they would probably expect that there is going to be a shutdown because things are just drowned down to committed to do that.
Ground down, sir.
Senator,
you can't say
what are
ground
your thoughts
down.
here?
See, when you can't say ground down, it's a good word that, he had multiple strokes. I give him that and all, but like, should he be a senator anymore? I'm not sure, man. We don't need people that can't fucking think. Up in there, getting paid, doing nothing, making stupid fucking moves on Fox News, pretending to be a Democrat when they're not. No, you can't hold that against them because here's the thing. You can't hold that against them. You would give them one Russo card, because holding that against them, no, because they would not be informed. There's no, like, think about the information jungle out there. Think about the disinformation south of the border, because, the whole system where you have to get across, and then there's the people to get across, you pay to get across sometimes. So there's an incentive to lie about shit. Number one. Just think about all that.
I think Senator Fetterman mentioned there are a lot of requests here. If we were to abide by all of them, we would basically turn the United States of America into a sanctuary nation, Maria. That's where they're headed with this. That's not going to happen. I think.
No, I see you're the punishment type. You were like, okay, punishment before. I'm the opposite. I'll give opportunity, but then punishment. That's what I'm about.
They picked the wrong vehicle here as well. The Department
give you
of
an
Homeland
opportunity.
Security performs very
You fuck up
important roles
under
when we
these
think about
conditions.
what they do
That's
with
when you get
respect
the
to the
punishment.
Coast Guard, interdicting drugs coming into our country. TSA, you mentioned this.
Plenty of people around you to report on you. Plenty of people want to send you to, like, especially these days, like there shouldn't be an incentive to call the ICE on you. That shouldn't exist. Like, right? You shouldn't be allowed to have that kind of control over any human being, in my opinion.
Transportation in America will come to a halt when TSA gets defunded. And in my home state of Tennessee, we've been hammered heavily by ice storms. FEMA is a critical aspect of addressing that. They want to defund it. The one thing this will not do is it will not defund ICE, because we already funded ICE in the big reconciliation bill that we did last year in
Yeah, but buddy, you're going to eventually run out.
2025.
You're spending
again,
quickly.
They're tilting at windmills, trying to achieve things that the American public do not want to see. Will there be some movement on this? I think there will be if you look at what's already in.
No, the massive problem isn't the amount of people here. It's the processing. I keep saying it. The processing of the people can be handled by the government, which isn't being done.
In the bill, we've already taken steps to provide funding for body cameras. ICE wants to do this. There's several things that I think we can accomplish here. But if the politics of the matter seem to overwhelm the Democrats, they may not be listening to that. It's certainly not.
I've heard it all, seriously.
And I'd hate to see the government shut down on Friday, at least the Department of Homeland Security, because there's so many other aspects of America's well-being that the Democrats are willing to put at risk just to make this point.
Well, by the way, they're also willing to put it at risk.
They're not putting anything at risk. This is a complete red herring. It's not.
Right before the midterm elections, right? I mean, it's so laced with politics. It's so obvious that, your colleagues agreed to fund 90% of government, not the Department of Homeland Security, but the rest of government until September 30th, right before the midterm elections. So there's lots of chaos right before the midterms. I guess the point of that is.
I think that's the objective. I think Chuck Schumer thrives on chaos. That's what they're hoping for. They're not winning from a policy standpoint, Maria. I mean, look at what's happening in our economy. Look at the international.
I know I'll never get what I want, obviously.
Their heads are exploding, and so all they can do is temper tantrums like this.
But first, turning to America's strengthening economy, Friday's record-breaking market, and President Trump's point man on economic policy.
Yeah, we're good.
The stock market soared on Friday.
And it's definitely going to happen as well. Like, I have no doubt, like, we actually are going to have a fascist government at the next election. Funnily enough, they're the ones campaigning against all this shit at the moment, just to get into power.
Every single day, I open up social media and I'm barraged by an endless stream of headlines about...
Excuse me? Jesus Christ, the ad reads are getting bad now. YouTube just took a shit, guys. I talk about white supremacy. What do you mean? Sorry, I missed that. What is happening to YouTube? Literally took a shit right now. I'm not kidding. Is it my internet? Wait. My internet might have just taken a shit. I might be going offline, guys. Hold on. I'll be back if I go offline. The fuck? Yeah, I'm gonna try a new tab here because could just be that particular tab freezing. Yep.
Hey everyone, let's jump back to looking at Poly Market's predictions.
All right, we are back now looking at those Poly Market predictions.
Memdani, Poly Market, right?
You were talking about the white supremacist privilege a few weeks ago with me. Yes. Oh, I see. That was a joke. Yeah. Oh yeah, my computer was. That's right. I remember now. Okay. I get the joke now.
Now, 62% chance of.
The CIA is gonna bork me. Don't. No, it was just the tab. But that happens sometimes. I think it's the
winning this election.
Welcome back to the Grammys. Potato.
If you had me saying potato on Polymarket, you just made a ton of money.
I'm not a betting man or woman, but I'd say that the
Dude. Polymarket's so fucked up, dude. Oh my God. Thought gambling was bad? Oh God.
The odds of you having seen the words Polymarket or Kalshi on recent award shows, sporting events, or even the news are fairly high, especially if you've been watching CNN.
One of the best ways we can look at this is the prediction markets. The chance that Trump buys any of Greenland by the end of his term, on Friday, it was just 12%. Whoa, way up there now to 36%.
According to the Kalshi prediction markets, I'm going to spell Kalshi right like this.
What do the prediction markets say? Okay, so we see the 1.9, the 2.5, and the 0.1. So what is the chance for the month of January we get more than 10 inches of snow in these cities?
How is that the news? Snowfall forecasting left to online bettors? What happened to meteorologists? Did we defund those too? Oh, we did?
Yeah, we
Why do I
actually
ask
did.
These questions. Online betting is no longer contained to sports, but for about a year now has encroached into the world of politics and culture through platforms like Polymarket and Kalshi. In today's healthy political economy, you can now place bets on big events like will Trump take Greenland and will the US strike Iran, and also how many times Elon Musk will tweet in a given day, which now that we've seen his thirsty party hunting emails to Jeffrey Epstein is a wager that is clearly experiencing some market surge. Of course, they don't like to call it gambling on the future, which it is, you know, because of the stigma and laws.
Definitely
They prefer
gambling.
to call it prediction markets, which is a bit like calling the heroin trade.
Oh yeah. You used the words that triggered my thought process. God damn. YouTube is useless. Wasn't able to set the goddamn thing. All right. Let me explain to you this way, chatter. Since you have given me the time of day as well. I mean, whatever. Of course, I can just kick you if I want to, but, you know, I'm not going to be like that. That's just a normal response. Because there's a big misunderstanding about why this matters. It's like led by the whole white supremacy movement. Like, it's one of their vanguard arguments. But I like to get at the point of why does it matter that that is quote unquote a statistic and people are worried about it? Why do you personally care about it? I don't really care about that right now. That's fine. But like what I know is most people care about that because they're worried about themselves because they're white and they're worried about their race, quote unquote, going away. Okay. So that's my understanding of why. Because I don't care and I'm white as white. And again, the reason I started the conversation with you, I think, if I remember correctly, is that I know that being white is a construct. It's a constructed part of our society that we've agreed upon. And then I was pointing to other examples of that in history, being that back in the day, whiteness used to be considered a certain group of people that didn't include another group of people. And then throughout the years, it's changed, okay, to include other groups of people that weren't included back in the day. So, by saying that white people will be a very small minority in this country, you're saying that the white people, quote unquote, are better or need to be preserved. And then, then the response is, well, we have culture. We need to preserve the white culture. Okay, so those are all just racist talking points. That was my point. Because it always goes back to why does it matter?
Venal commerce. I'm no dealer. I'm just a venal market
Since you don't have
specialist.
Rewind.
So what is prediction market betting? Who's behind it?
And whiteness is going to change over the next 10 years. What that's considered, if it exists anymore. And I for one, say whiteness as a concept should not exist at all. And it's the whole reason we're still, quote unquote, we still have prisons and slavery. Why does it matter if who's the majority? Nothing matters. That's what I'm saying. When you erase the idea of being white, we're all just people. And then you don't need to divide ourselves on color. Like what?
And how has it become so ubiquitous? And one more obnoxious question to get you to keep watching. Just as sports betting has been swamped and in many cases...
And in fact, that is literally the American dream. Anyone that tells you that America was supposed to be all white is what the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Corrupted by betting.
Sure, dude.
Will the casinofication of politics ruin politics itself? The National Bad Bunny concert is upon us, and though I'm recording this beforehand, I have no doubt there will be or were
Yeah, and by erasing the idea of white, you're not erasing identities. There's no identity behind that. The only identification is being a part of a group of people that has subjugated another group of people for thousands of years. It's not good. It's not a good part to be a part of. Like what? Yeah, I do actually.
a lot.
But I don't agree that being white is an identity. Like I said, it's a construct of our society rather than an identity. You can identify with it.
Of ads and references to betting, not just platforms like DraftKings or FanDuel, but also Polymarket.
Because
and
whiteness
Kalshi.
exists.
See,
Yes,
sports
there's an
betting,
opposite.
which was
There wouldn't.
once
No one
relegated
would
to
go on
smoky
brown or
casinos
black
in
or
Nevada,
purple
is
or
now everywhere.
orange or
Ever since
white.
both
They wouldn't
the
care.
advent of the smartphone and a 2018 Supreme Court ruling that
Yeah, it's a
effectively
construct because
overturned
whiteness
a federal
exists.
ban on sports betting. Ever since then, 40 states
Yeah.
and DC have said sports gambling is safe and A-OK.
Look, the whole idea of dividing people by skin color was originally put in place because they wanted to make this happen. What we're in, right? Like, this is hello?
Especially when it's tucked away in your pocket, pinging you and telling you it's time to lose more money. Take it from an addict who is now suing DraftKings.
There were so many times when I wanted to quit and I couldn't because the industry kept luring me back in, essentially.
Again, I'm not a bettor, but this feels like when Nordstrom Rack emails me to tell me I left something in my shopping cart. I didn't leave it, okay? I filled it, hid it by the shoe rack, and then walked away responsibly. Americans spent $150 billion on sports betting in 2024 and likely spent even more last year. And more than 90% of those bets are done online. Most of
The
these
evil
platforms'
they,
revenue
yes.
are being made from what are
Chatter.
called prop or parlay bets, which are
Everything
basically
they.
bundled bets on an endless number of outcomes. How many strikes or balls will a player get in a game in the 7th inning? And how many snot rockets will they blow in between? It's a pretty innovative way to go bankrupt. And because we currently live in a late-stage vulture capitalistic hell, the sports betting
Lots of
model
fun, right?
has come to the world of politics on platforms like Polymarket and Kalshi. Now, we're not just betting on the Seahawks or the Patriots, but on how many deportations there will be in Trump's first year, or how far the Palisades fire will spread. You know, end times shit. In the words of Kalshi CEO Tariq Mansour, the goal
What history
is to
books you
become
reading,
a
brother?
trillion-dollar
No, slavery has not ended. I disagree. It exists in America. It's called the fucking... In fact, it's going to start to exist now more because fucking there's going to be 23 camps for your favorite people, the illegal immigrants. And they're going to be making money. Mucho dinero per bed, sí. Es no bueno.
market and to financialize everything.
It's pretty much already like a close to 100 billion a year asset class, right? Like It's pretty easy to imagine a 10x from here. Like we haven't even started. It's been a year. The long-term vision is to financialize everything.
Yeah, I know what History Channel you're watching. You're watching the fucking what? Yeah, I'm not gonna run through the history of American slavery. I don't give a fuck
create
about that
a tradable
shit.
asset out of any difference in opinion.
To create a tradable asset out of any difference of opinion.
I already
see,
made
right
my
now,
mind up. Like
you
I just
think of the
explained it to you.
estrangement from
There's
your
not gonna
three-time Trump
like.
voting father over whether immigrants
I
are
already
criminals
understand.
is damaging both to your psyche and the country. But have you ever thought about investing in your mental breakdown? And yes, financialize everything. What?
Again, you're speaking very specific points that have been used in the past to describe, to make sure that, you know, like, oh yeah, I don't really like people that aren't white. It's okay, and this is one of the reasons. No, I don't, because I care about who the fuck is gonna stop it. You got that part right, my friend.
Normal people say, all right? I know every morning I get up and hear birds chirping out of my window and think, I should monetize.
Christian men are not impressive to me. Christian white men aren't impressive to me. No. Like, that doesn't impress me. What impresses me is that there were people that chose to say no. And those people are cool because they said, no fucking way. It's just like I want people to say no to it now and realize that it's happening in America. It's happening on the streets with the police beating up black people. It's happening in our prisons because of the disproportionate amount of people that are in there that are black and white and brown. Okay? And now it's going to be happening by the Gestapo, who are going to be putting black and brown people and some white people in tent prisons. So I don't care what anyone's done. Okay, I don't care what anyone's done. No one needs to languish in a tent prison where they're literally being used to make money. Okay? No, I'm good. Okay, that's the ultimate amount of corruption happening right there. Irregardless of why that person's in that bed, I don't care if they're illegal immigrants or whatever. There's a bed there, and some dumb fuck from BlackRock is making money off that. You think that's cool? I don't think that's cool.
That. Get my neighbors in a pool and see who has the birds chirping 45 times at 6:30 a.m. and who has the will to live. So how do Polymarket and Kalshi work exactly? While they're attempting to get into parlay betting, at the moment they run on.
And that is the reason I do respect. I disagree. I do respect the white Christian men, quote unquote, that fucking fought, whatever you want to fucking call them. But I just said they were people because I don't divide them into white Christian men. I divide them into people because there was other people that did it too. Hello? Yes, it was bloody. Okay, and we don't want to repeat that. We don't need to go back either to that point where there was slavery and there was division between black and brown and white people, like where they couldn't have a right. Okay, and no women didn't have rights. Okay, none of that needs to happen again. What needs to happen is we need to break the chains that we have in America that still exist, and other places, like you said, you're like, yeah, other places have, fucking Saudi Arabia, for fuck's sake.
A straightforward yes/no system. Will Donald Trump shart again during a press conference?
Are coming up with new opioids faster than the government has been able to keep up.
Buy yes shares if you think the event will
happen. How do you know if he actually
no
did or
shares
not?
If you think it won't.
Or if they were just
the
sniveling.
Price for a share basically represents what the market, aka
How do you know,
the
Chatter?
degenerate gamblers, thinks the probability of that event happening is. Yes at 72 cents means the market thinks there's about a 72% chance that happens. And that means a 28% chance that it doesn't happen. When there's new information,
Dude,
like say a
banned.
large shipment of Depends arrives at the White House, the chance could go up to 82%.
Oh,
and you can either sell your shares for a 10% profit or hold on to them till the end.
Watch, it'll auto ban you on YouTube if you say that shit.
Beyond making money, the pitch these platforms make is that somehow the wisdom of crowds is better than, say, experts, pollsters.
You are reading the wrong history. I am telling you right now, if you have any respect for me, you will you will, quote unquote, this is the history you said you've been reading.
Or data. Listen to Polymarket founder and background Hobbit actor Shane Copeland explain.
It's a site where you can basically bet on current events. Some sort of question about the future, like an election. And as a result...
Stop listening to quote-unquote history and start listening to what's happening right now. And how many rights you actually really have right now, because you have none. And bitching and whining about like whether or not the fucking who had the most slaves. Who gives a fuck? Like, that's my point.
When a ton of people are betting, you get the betting odds, which basically tell you how likely each outcome is.
And how accurate is it?
It's the most accurate thing we have as mankind right now, until someone else creates some sort of super crystal ball.
A crystal ball. So you're saying the barometer for accuracy is on
Just
par with a Miss Cleo reading?
You gotta stop accepting the booty calls at 2 a.m. in the morning. You understand?
Okay, so why are these prediction markets...
Yeah, no booty calls for you either, okay, chatter? You need to lay off the booty calls.
Everywhere now. Well, the Bad Hobbit founded Polymarket in 2020 using cryptocurrency. Sorry, trades are done in crypto. Did I fail to mention that dystopian detail? After admitting to operating without registering as a contract market, Polymarket settled with the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, or CFTC, for $1.4 million in 2022.
Shit.
And the company was
Someone didn't
initially
like him.
supposed to cease operations in the United States.
And
but
it didn't.
Polymarket's breakout moment was about to happen. And it wasn't through organic adoption, but from a run of depraved betting that went viral on social media. In June of 2023, the platform surged after a viral tweet highlighted its odds on the recovery of that overzealous billionaire-backed Titan submersible expedition, even before the passengers had officially run out of oxygen. What stage of capitalism is investing in someone's death? Asked the Twitter user with a screenshot showing Polymarket's evolving spread on the submarine. That attention cascaded into a series of similarly news-adjacent markets, from the Guatemalan presidential election to a Twitter Meta lawsuit and even nuclear escalation in the Russia-Ukraine war. And it caught the attention of investors. In 2024, Polymarket raised $70 million, including from places like Peter Thiel's Founders Fund. And they went to work, pushing partnerships and betting ahead of the 2024 election.
Live from the Polymarket studio.
The election was their white whale. It drew...
Haha, she's like, look, even took out my network.
$3.3 billion in wagers, with bets on Biden dropping out hitting 70%, and Trump's odds of winning surging to 53% by October. And by November, a guy in France won $85 million betting that Trump would win. And then the FBI raided Shane Copeland's home, because remember how it wasn't supposed to operate in the United States?
It wasn't, hey, you're banned from trading in the U.S. It's like, until you're licensed.
I mean, it was breaking the law.
I mean, people say breaking the law. It's like, which law?
Okay, chatter, what's the name of that online channel that Ben Shapiro used to work for? God damn it.
You know, so if anything, it's incompatible.
It's incompatible with the law.
Yeah, with the regulatory matrix that existed.
God, these nerds love to invent their own language. The regulatory matrix?
Dude, you literally
also
watched
known
that
as
shit. I
laws.
know you watched this fucking history from that channel. So who cares? Like, what's the point? That's what I mean. Like, what? I don't care.
My guy. Again, this is like me going into a Nordstrom,
We don't
stealing
have
a purse,
18th century
and then
brains
saying,
anymore.
Look,
We're
hear
all
me
smarter
out.
than this,
I have
including
a startup.
you.
But Copeland's
I know you
cavalier
are.
answer was
You have a sense of
probably
reason.
warranted,
I've seen it in my
because
chat.
he knew that with
You end up
the
at the wrong
election
conclusion.
of Trump, a
Constantly,
new
though.
regulatory matrix was indeed about to arrive. And boy, has
Truthfully,
it. Not only is Trump
in my
flanked by
opinion.
crypto billionaires like David Sachs and Mark Andreessen, but at the head of the Commodities Futures Trade
Yep,
Commission,
you know better.
the
You
body
from the
that
South.
regulates
God
derivative
damn
markets, including
California fucking liberals. They don't know what they're talking about. They all okay. They eat that soybean.
futures, swaps, and options, and is supposed to be helmed by 5 bipartisan appointees, is instead currently led by one guy, Mike Selig. Mike isn't a regulator by trade, he's a lawyer who has represented crypto clients and VC firms. And in a statement, he said that the CFTC's regulations will be upgraded.
The only reason y'all down in the South are suffering is because of the fucking policies of fascism and goddamn capitalism run amok, like, and the continued fucking prison industrial complex. Like, if there's anything that fucked the South up, it's the prison industrial complex. If there's anything that really fucked up South America, it's the
For
war on
America's,
drugs. Like,
quote, golden age. Ah, yes, the sign of a true MAGA henchman. On cryptocurrency specifically, he says this.
We need to build markets that allow for these assets to trade with clear rules of the road, and we can't regulate by enforcement anymore.
Right. Regulation without
By enforcement. Yeah,
So in other words, instead of laws, just suggestions to follow without any consequences if you don't. Laws under Trump work sort of like idiomatic wives' tales.
It literally
Beer
sounds
before
like you watched
liquor,
that show.
never been sicker, or penny saved is a
Alternative
penny
History of
earned.
Slavery on,
Meaningless drivel, especially since they killed the penny. Underselling,
Jeebus
the
Network, or whatever it's
CFTC has
called.
done a 180 on online betting. It withdrew a 2024 proposal to prohibit trades on sports and politics, as well as a 2025 advisory cautioning platforms to have backup plans if sports betting got tied up in courts, like in places like Nevada and Massachusetts. A Massachusetts judge recently banned Kalshi, and Nevada has
Fucking
followed suit
mosquito in
and
my
banned
house,
Polymarket,
bitch ass.
at least temporarily. Mike is also going all in on prediction markets, which from the sound of it will definitely be selling those riskier and bigger parlay bets any day now.
When you look at these
Any
prediction
true
markets,
Christian
it's
would.
incredible how much activity is there.
definitely
at
forebode
Polymarket
slavery.
And
Are you
Kalshi
kidding
and
me?
others trying to get into that game. What's most important
right.
for us to understand about these prediction markets, and how do you see your role?
That's the great thing about the CFTC, that we are a regulator that's always been focused on innovation in our markets, new types of commodities, new products, new platforms, and prediction markets are no different. We support lawful innovation in these markets, and we're going to create clear rules of the road for the markets. We're not going to be a merit regulator as the prior administration sought to do.
And under this new chatified CFTC, what has Polymarket done? It had a banner 2025.
Oh, we're
it
good.
got a CFTC approval. Its betting volume surged to around $1 billion
Damn, I
a
shoulda
month.
got on this.
The probe into its practices was dropped, thereby lifting the U.S. ban on its services.
I actually could do good on this. I should Polymarket up, boys. I'm gonna get a Polymarket sponsorship. I have no qualms. I'll do it. That's right. I'll be a gambling degenerate.
In early December, just in time for one momentous event.
Venezuela's leader captured.
President Nicolás Maduro has been captured.
Nicolas Maduro has arrived in New York. Former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro
I made $1 million.
is here in New York City.
That's
Betting on
right. Of course we're betting on the kidnapping of other people's presidents in the middle of the night. Who are we, if not craven? But the betting process itself on Maduro's removal was rife with controversy, beyond the fact that it was happening at all. See, because Polymarket refused to pay out those who bet that the U.S. would invade Venezuela, arguing that what had happened was not technically an invasion. The note read President Trump's statement that they will run Venezuela while referencing ongoing talks with the Venezuelan government does not alone qualify the snatch and extract mission to capture Maduro as an invasion. Hey, look. Don't bet on geopolitics if you're not up on your semantic fuckery, okay? It's not regime change, it's international.
Yeah, they said invasion. He didn't invade, even though he did. He used the canceler. I used the cancel button. I pushed cancel on the remote, and they couldn't fire their weapons. They were like, what the fuck? Couldn't believe it.
Law enforcement. It's not covert.
It's a new weapon. You push cancel on the remote, and they can't fire. That's right.
Ops, it's democracy promotion. It's not war, it's liberation. What are you, new here? And yet, someone was paid out for the toppling of Nicolas Maduro for betting that he wouldn't last beyond January of 2026. And the bet is pretty suspicious.
A more than $400,000 mystery has been uncovered following the capture of deposed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Just hours before news broke of the military operation, an anonymous user on the prediction market placed a significant bet that Maduro would be out of power.
And again, I would tend to agree that we're all slaves under capitalism to an extent, but it doesn't amount to anything we did when we were doing chattel slavery. So anything else I don't really want to talk about. Like, yeah, there was slavery. We did a different, like, chattel slavery is a little different than most other kinds of slavery too, in my opinion. Like, it's oodles worse. And slavery is a term that's used mostly for that. So I don't like to conflate the two. So I would generally say, instead of slavery, I would call it subversion. You know, or disadvantage. It makes us disadvantaged. Like I keep saying, it can be a spectrum. Correct. You can be a slave to your own fucking brain. In this case, which I think you might be, sir, ma'am.
By the end of the month, the perfectly timed wager is raising questions about
have a little more freedom in there.
Insider knowledge with national security
implications. A little more space for thought.
You see, here's the dirty secret about the collective crystal ball of both prediction markets and sports betting. They're usually done with some amount of insider knowledge. In other words, they're breeding grounds for insider trading.
But predictive markets do rely on someone having some inside information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that people going and having an edge to the market is a good thing. Obviously, you need to curate them. And
how could it be a good thing? Could you just say that? It's a good thing. Hey guys, it's a good thing. I snorted coke and it's a good thing. That's right. I love the coca. It's the good leaf. You just snort it up your nose. That's right. It's so good. Some would say it's the best.
You need to be really clear and stringent on where the line is drawn and like sort of ethics, and we spend a lot of time on that, but it's sort of an inevitability that this...
Yeah, so, you know, I don't want to be a quote-unquote slave to capitalism my whole life either. So, when individuals like yourself, Chatter, and other people that speak like you do, focus on the whiteness and the slavery in the past, it's like you're missing the fucking woods. You're still a slave right now under capitalism. Like, yeah, there is that comparison to be made. Not equally as bad as chattel slavery. Okay, then that's not what I'm saying. That's not, you know, right? That's not a cancelable moment right there. That's not the point. We're still subversive to someone else. Someone else is telling us what to do. That means you are lacking freedom. You are lacking the freedom to do what you want to do. And that's why I keep saying, every time you come on my channel, all you're really saying is, I want leftism. I want leftism.
Will happen, and there's a lot of benefits from it, and people will adapt.
Yeah, it certainly does sound like you spend a lot of time thinking about it, but not as long as you spend on those curls. Am I right? And that insider knowledge is turning into outright corruption, specifically in the world of sports betting, which has been rife with corruption from players themselves. The MLB is currently mired in it after 2 pitchers from the Cleveland Guardians allegedly took bribes to help bettors in the Dominican Republic win over $460,000, who were buying prop bets on the speed of their pitches. So is the NBA after the FBI charged
mini betting, who cares? Guys do this all the time. I bet you I can hit the wall with my pitch. That's fine. $4.
34 individuals, including players who conspired with gamblers and took themselves out early in games or leaked information to them about who would be benched on a particular day. The coach of the Padres abruptly resigned in October, in part because he said he was tired of the death threats he received from gamblers, which is weird because when in history has gambling and violence ever been connected?
Yeah.
Just
pay your
I'm
bet.
sorry, I'm just having some bad luck. Just got worse.
I'm not a big sports fan, but if I were, I might be a little miffed about how much this side hustle is twisting the actual hustle.
It's a card game. What do you mean?
Hang on, Francesca. You're being unfair to the people who actually make money off of sports or prediction market betting. Those earning a semi-honest living in our flailing economy. Well, let's remember that these
She's talking about me. I'm not going to do that, though.
Platforms aren't just rigged in favor of cheaters, but against organic winners.
Can you talk to me a little bit about how sportsbooks treat you once you start winning?
They don't want to accept your bets.
Oh, by the way, after an hour of discussion with you, Chatter, you did not give me a good reason as to why it matters. Any of what you've listed there to right now.
If you're in a VIP program, either a VIP host will be nice and tell you, sorry, you've been limited, you're no longer wanted here. A lot of the time they'll just ghost you, which kind of sucks. But yeah,
Walt
sportsbooks
Disney
don't want to
World.
accept winning customers. You shouldn't be able to allow people to come in and lose as much money as possible while restricting winners. You can't restrict winners and then expand limits for losers, all while saying that you're a fair place for anybody to play. That's pretty deceptive in my opinion.
The first deceptive thing is that you even think that it would be fair at all, and that gambling is fair whatsoever, and that the house is not always 100% winning, okay? Are you kidding me right now? What are we talking about? Okay, the house always wins.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
God, I love her. Yeah, like the dude does abide on this, Okay.
And if we know anything about opinions, it's that they can be financialized. Let's put it to a Kalshi poll. But back to prediction markets in Venezuela. The fact that one bettor on Polymarket had bought a bunch of shares on Maduro not lasting the month just hours before his kidnapping was a bit fishy. But in fact, reporters at the New York Times and the Washington Post learned of the attack before it happened, allegedly because of a leak from a longtime Pentagon systems contractor, which led to the raid of a Washington Post journalist's home and the arrest of that contractor.
Oopsie.
The leaker has been...
The leaker! We found him.
Is in jail right now.
Sure. Now, look, it could have been that Pentagon systems contractor who leaked the information and then placed a bet, or a journalist who received the information. But also, apropos of nothing, did you know that one of the advisors to both Polymarket and Kalshi is Don Trump Jr., the shadiness of which can be captured in this awkward exchange between Kalshi CEO Tariq Mansour and CBS Morning News.
Why did you guys make Donald Trump Jr. a strategic advisor?
We have a lot of advisors, and they span across the board, across different functions. But really, this is all about growing this industry, the prediction market industry that a lot of people really believe in.
What kind of advice does he give you?
So it really is, again, about growing prediction markets. He believes in prediction markets. We believe in prediction markets. A lot of people believe in prediction markets, and it's really about go-to-market and expansion plans.
Does he come to meetings? How much do you pay him? What's his role? I mean, this is the son of the president.
We have a lot of advisors, and whether it's our investors, whether it's people that we really trust and respect. Whether
He's not just any advisor. He has a direct line to the White House.
We have a lot of advisors.
Oh, God, make it stop.
Jesus
Look, girl,
Christ.
I know it's morning news, but just ask a direct question. Isn't it a conflict of interest to have the son of the president advising a company that makes money off of what the president may or may not do? Now, I'm not suggesting it was Don Trump Jr. who leaked the Venezuela information, but it could have been Don Trump Jr. on that or anything else. That is, if Trump ever told him anything or gave him any real responsibility. But you see what I'm getting at. Let me give you a smaller example. Remember how these sites let you bid on the tiniest things? Well, on January 7th, the Twitter account Prediction Market Trader noted that Caroline Leavitt's press conference ended abruptly under 65 minutes, when Polymarket had a 98% likelihood of the conference running over 65 minutes, earning the no bettors 50 times what was placed.
In November of last year. And so I would encourage everyone to take a look at the website. It's quite well done. And thank you all very much. It's great to be back with you.
Trump RX, folks. Trump
Now,
RX.
Not a lot of money was won, sure, but she did conspicuously look at the clock on her way out. What I'm saying is it's not hard to imagine a world in which grifters who govern us and lie to us for a living doing stuff like this on purpose. Let Kevin Clancy of Barstool, whose politics I know nothing
anyone
about,
can see
so
the
don't at
Kalshi.
me about
It's like,
them.
what do you?
Let Clancy explain himself how much dumber our dumbass timeline could get.
So while the length of the press conference went mega viral and there really wasn't anything there, it very much could be a reality. We have a market here. What will Caroline
President.
Levitt say
No
during the
shit.
next press briefing? Will she say president 69 or 79 times? Will she say more 22 times? Home, Vanity Fair, mainstream, marijuana, Supreme Court. Just will this person say words? And we're talking about thousands of dollars potentially being made.
Now do you understand the
And
absolute
lost.
insanity of this being a growing yet unregulated market? Even OpenAI creepo billionaire Sam Altman commented while he was on a podcast.
You have to bet on
that
every
it was hard not to
word.
pay attention to the poly market ticker and say things to influence the outcome of those wagers.
Different every few days. Man, I'm watching this poly market ticker go by, and it's so tempting to like say things to resolve these markets.
God, insider trading is so tempting. And
He's
with
watching
prediction
it while
markets,
he's on?
It's so easy to cheat everyday people, which is why they are ripe for scammy billionaires like Brian Armstrong, whose
Oh,
crypto
God.
platform Coinbase just
already don't
announced
like
a
him.
partnership with Kalshi to launch prediction
Yeah, he's a
market
bitch,
betting
too. He took my
on
money.
its platform in all 50 states
Someone
using
hacked
its
my
issued
Bitcoin
stablecoin
account.
USDC.
My Coinbase
Armstrong
account.
is a huge Trump ally and conservative donor, and he jokingly admitted to doing insider trading during an interview with the New York Times.
You had a viral moment talking about the finality of at the end of your quarterly earnings call. We've been having discussions about poly.
What kind of medieval sandals is my boy wearing at the Deal Book Summit? Okay. You can pretty much wear anything as far as shoes these days, huh? I get it.
Market and prediction markets and everybody betting on
They have
what
buckles.
people are going to say at any given moment. And you read off the words
They don't
that
even
people
have.
were betting on.
They're brown. He's wearing blue with high top sock. What is happening?
On the call. You said Bitcoin, Ethereum, blockchain,
Okay,
staking, Web3.
we get that they're.
Tens of thousands of dollars.
We see your $4,000 shoes. Okay. Okay, we see them. Yeah.
Had been bet on each of those words. People were betting on whether you would actually say those words, and then you effectively were trolling them, I think. Can you tell us, what were you thinking during the conference call?
Yeah, well, the conference call was me just having a little bit of fun.
Just a little fun, doing small white-collar crimes, crimecitos,
Yeah.
we like to call them.
Crimecitos.
But then Armstrong went on to say something far more ominous
chatter.
about how prediction markets could influence policymaking.
The bigger picture here is that prediction markets are a big deal, and it's for 1% of people, they're trading it just like another asset class, but for 99% of people, they're looking at it as an alternative, I think, to traditional media, actually, to figure out what's going to happen in the world. And then some people are also just using it for entertainment, right? So it's a very interesting new area. I think that actually we're going to see even more potential here. Like an example would be policymakers could actually use prediction markets to say, okay, of these three policies, which one will raise GDP or which one will lower unemployment the most or whatever metric you're trying to get. And they can get signal from the market about which policy to actually go implement.
All right, how about no one should go bankrupt for medical costs in the richest country on earth? How about taxing billionaires like you out of existence? You don't need markets to tell you what's popular.
Let's
you need politicians who
go.
listen and implement what the majority of us want. But given what Armstrong said, and given how brazenly corrupt and transactional this administration is, it isn't hard to imagine decisions being made on the money being made off of them instead of sound political advice. Who do you think Trump is going to listen to? A foreign policy expert advising to not launch a full-scale invasion of Iran, or someone in his inner circle saying, "Dad, I got $1 million on you doing it by the end of Feb"? At the end of the day, what's happening to sports betting will happen to politics. Those players embroiled in those betting scams didn't do it for the money. They're already on multi-million-dollar contracts. They're doing it because they can. Kalshi is already heavily into sports, and Polymarket is now partnering with Major League Soccer and UFC. Prediction markets are giving rise to a frenzy of fraud, enabled by the most corrupt president in American history. It's one big club, and you ain't in it. But on the bright side, you also aren't in the Epstein files, for those of you who searched your names. And I did. And I'm not. And I just had to be sure. Had to be sure. Prediction markets are so ubiquitous that even traditional markets are now looking to them. The New York Stock Exchange parent company, Intercontinental Exchange, is investing $2 billion into Polymarket, which is kind of a tell, that all markets are made up. Money isn't real, and we should burn it all to the ground and begin anew with a matriarchal barter economy. The point is, Black Mirror was a walk in the park. It's not just the dystopian fact that we can bet on how many people ICE will kill in the year, but just as financial markets are worshipped for their all-knowing indicators, these prediction markets are being peddled as political indicators. How many people will ICE kill in a year easily becomes how many people should ICE kill in a year, or worse yet, how many people will some chode ensure are killed to win his bet and dig himself out of a hole because those signing bonuses just aren't coming through. And finally, prediction markets aren't just full of corruption and scam, but they also transform us. No longer are we voters, citizens, and community members, but pundits, gamblers, and walking slot machines with addiction habits who always need to charge our phones so we can see how our shares on the Oscar for Best Editing is going. And I, for one, hate it. I hate it. Thanks so much for watching the Bituation Room's Deep Dives. As I was recording this, news just broke that a class action lawsuit has been filed against Polymarket, claiming illegal gambling, filed in the Southern District of New York. So get those bets in now. Will Polymarket ever be held accountable? Who knows? Anyway, subscribe to the channel right now, youtube.com/FrannyFio, or subscribe and support me on Substack.
I watched the Bad Bunny show. I saw nothing problematic about it at all.
This is supposed to be a unifying event for the country, not for the Latinos.
I want to send a signal to Americans that the most radical act in a capitalist society is non-participation, and that you have power to decide where you want to spend your money and where you don't want to spend your money.
The left wants to tank the U.S. economy in order to punish President Trump for the crime of having been elected by most American voters.
Even we think this is bad. We love kissing the president's butt. We don't think anything is racist, and we still think, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't put the Obamas as monkeys.
Absolutely terrible. One of the worst ever was the US president's verdict on the Super Bowl halftime show. Nobody understands a word this guy is saying, said Donald Trump. A slap in the face to our country. Trump didn't comment on the alternative all-American halftime show staged by Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, presumably because he was watching Bad Bunny. And the truth is that both the alternative show and the president's statement felt like they were contrived as a response to something which ultimately didn't happen. Many expected Green Day and Bad Bunny to use the biggest show in the world of television to skewer the president and rail against ICE. But actually they didn't. Now, I'm no Bad Bunny apologist. I didn't know much about him, actually, before yesterday, and also don't speak Spanish, but I actually really enjoyed his performance. I thought the staging, the choreography, the theatre was the best I've ever seen in a halftime show. And actually, the message was about togetherness and love and unity. What's wrong with that? He didn't perform in Spanish to prove a point. He always sings in Spanish, just as Luciano Pavarotti sings in Italian. The criticism of the whole thing is that he sang in a language spoken by 60 million Americans, including the Secretary of State. Is that a problem? Like I said, the president used to play Pavarotti's Nessun Dorma at his campaign rallies. It even played at the end of the emotional 2024 RNC as Trump accepted his nomination just days after being shot. Nessun Dorma, to remind you, is entirely in Italian. Well, I'll be joined by my panel in a moment. But first, let's hear from the host of the Megyn Kelly Show. Megyn Kelly. Megyn, great to have you back on Uncensored.
Great to see you back, sort of on your feet and looking so well, Piers.
Do you know what? I took my first steps. I felt like Neil Armstrong today. I was walking along my high street with 2 crutches 24 days after face planting. And it felt like a moment. I was like out of the house, suddenly breathing fresh air again. The whole thing has reminded me that in the end, if you don't have good health, you're screwed.
It's so true. But you're strong. Good for you. I'm amazed. I saw that picture and I thought, A, it's great you're back on your feet. And B, good for you for posting your progress. A lot of men wouldn't want to post that with the 2 crutches, but it's a testament to your fortitude that you're doing it at all and that you're still doing your show. I admire your strength, as always.
Do you know what? I mean, I won't labour the point, but 100,000 people a year in the UK alone have hip replacements. Now, mine was forced by injury, but actually that's a lot of people. And I just thought, I've got a lot of followers. Why don't I just tell them how I'm getting on? Because
Yes.
the response I've had has been incredible. People telling me about what they've been going through and it's a big thing. Hip replacements are the new cool thing.
That's right. And now you don't have to worry about it in 15 years like the rest of us will. Look, we're getting older, Piers. That's the truth. But you know what? We're the youngest we'll ever be for the rest of our lives, so let's enjoy it.
Do you know what? You sent me the best response, or best message. You just said, look, pains in the arse like me and you, we never die young.
So we've got that going for us. Fingers crossed.
Well, talking of pains in the ass, let's get into something, because there are going to be some things that I talk about with you where we're going to be in total agreement. But I'm going to start with something where I know we are totally in disagreement, and that is Bad Bunny. So I got up this morning and I watched it all without reading anything about it. I just thought, I want to watch this completely clean without anyone's view contaminating my brain cells. And I watched all 15 minutes of it. And I've watched every halftime show going back 30, 40 years. I thought as a piece of theatre, it was the best I've seen. Just the most extraordinary kind of Broadway on steroids piece of theatre. I also thought it wasn't remotely divisive politically in the end. His Grammys speech was, but his performance, I thought, was actually a lot of things which I would have thought people on the conservative right would applaud. It was about love. A couple actually got married. For real, in the middle of it. He was preaching about unity, not just the United States of America, but the wider Americas. What was the problem, Megan?
A certain male gesture is coming to mind, but I'm not sure I can do it on this show. No, it wasn't about what he was actually going to do during the middle of the Super Bowl performance. It's about him. It's about him being chosen as the Super Bowl performer, somebody who's been an outspoken critic, of course, of the Trump administration and of America and our anti-immigrant policies. This is long before the current controversy over ICE. He doesn't want illegals deported from this country. Well, too bad, because the majority of Americans do want that and are not shy about pushing for it, and that's why President Trump got elected. So he and his little buddies over at Green Day never miss a chance to bash the United States of America. He got selected because Jay-Z, for some reason, has got the choice over who performs at our Super Bowl, who's another problem. Don't even get me started on his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Why is he choosing who's appropriate for American children to watch during our seminal sporting event?
That's crazy.
And I'm sorry, Piers, but to get up there and perform the whole
That's crazy.
The whole show in Spanish
She's
is
crazy.
a middle finger to the rest of America. Who gives a damn that we have 40 million Spanish speakers?
Yeah, who gives a damn? You don't. My previous chatter doesn't.
Speakers in the United States. We have 310 million who don't speak a lick of Spanish. This is supposed to be a unifying event for the country, not for the Latinos, not for one small group, but for the country. We don't need a black national anthem. We don't need a Spanish-speaking, non-English performer, and we don't need an ICE or America hater featured as our primetime entertainment.
Fuck you, Megan.
Okay, what is the national language? Officially,
Fuck you, Megan.
The national language of the United States of America.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
we don't have one.
English. And there's been a push for
we don't have one.
to make it an official
You don't have one.
Documented thing.
You don't have one.
If
Right,
you
so
would have
you-
let me
the
finish
truth
my
is-
comment,
Well,
I would have
you
pointed that
don't
out, that
actually
people have
have
been
an
pushing
official
to make it
language.
official.
Look, there you go. The ultimate pause right there, boys. Tell me I don't know when to pause. She's like, I got you, bitch. She's like, oh, shit. Fuck.
Okay,
All right,
so
now let me
you're
tell
trying
you
to make
something.
official.
This attitude that
No,
you
but
have right here is why you in Great Britain have lost your culture. You ceded your culture to a bunch of radical Muslims who came in and took over, and now it's gone. We're not allowing that here. Whether it's Hispanic, whether it's Muslim, it's not happening in the United States of America. That's why President Trump was elected. And whether it's Bad Bunny, who is American but refuses to speak English in his performances, or anybody else, we have to keep the Super Bowl, which is a quintessential American event. Football, that kind of football, is ours. They call
First of all, Bad Bunny never refused to speak English. In fact, it's English is his second language. And why would you take a song that you sung in Spanish and sing it in English? What the fuck? It would sound like shit.
Call it American football. And the halftime show and everything around it needs to stay quintessentially
I mean,
American.
some songs can
not
translate,
Spanish,
but not his.
Not Muslim, not anything other than good old-fashioned American
Not Muslim.
apple pie. There should be a meatloaf, maybe some fried chicken, and an English-speaking performer. That's what the Super Bowl should be.
My chatter listening to Megyn Kelly.
One, you've conceded you don't have a national language
Right.
in the United States officially. And secondly, the language you do want to be your official language is my language. The language of the country you think has gone to pot. So my obvious follow-up is, Megyn, why do you want English as your national language if you think England has gone to hell in a handcart?
Pierce, I think those medications for your hip have gone too far. You need to, we need to dial back a pill or two, okay? We want something that we can all understand. I don't think Bad Bunny used his appearance to bash America, but I can't be sure because I didn't see any subcaptions on his Spanish language performance.
But what about Pavarotti?
They chose
What about
two
Pavarotti?
America haters.
What about Pavarotti?
They aren't
who
America
Donald
haters.
Trump, in 2016 in particular, would use at every campaign rally. He's used it at the RNC, right, as a...
Pierce, Italians are white. Pierce. In America, Italians are white. Pierce doesn't get this. See, here's perfect proof of what I was yapping at chatter about earlier. He's bringing up an Italian. He's considered white.
Only Pavarotti?
Tub-thumping anthem. Well, no, hang on. Not only Pavarotti.
I've
but
been at lots of
Pavarotti-
Trump rallies. Pavarotti gets
Yeah, but
a
hang on.
song, maybe
But
two.
he sings... But when he sings Nessun Dorma in Italian, I don't see you leaping up and down going, I can't understand a word of it.
Because it's fucking Italian. White.
You're probably
I don't
singing
remember
along.
him being the Super Bowl halftime show, was he?
Well, would you have minded if he was?
Yes, I would have, because we feature English-speaking performers at the quintessentially American event of the Super Bowl. We do Michael Jackson. We do Whitney Houston. We do great bands that love America, like American rap. That's a different situation. This guy, who can't stand the country, comes out and starts speaking in Spanish, and I'm sure the people in South Florida really enjoyed it. The people in an American territory, Puerto...
This guy, she says... He's from our country, you dumb person. He's from America. Hello, Puerto Rico is American. Hello.
Rico really enjoyed it. But the people in the heartland had no idea what the hell was happening. This is a guy who loves to parade around in a dress, who again hangs out with Jay-Z and his Epstein-loving pals, who gets up there when he's not bashing America with his pals at Green Day, who are from the far left People's Republic of California, who have never missed a chance to rip on Trump.
Because they're fucking punk rock. I'm a punk rocker. Yes, I am. Fuck you.
MAGA, half the country, or ICE, and that's something they share with Bad
'Cause I'm
Bunny.
a punk rocker,
That's
yes,
not
I
representative
am.
of what the Heartland wants to see. And the Heartland always gets the middle finger from people like Jay-Z, like Roger Goodell, who should know better, but he's a panderer who runs the NFL. And that's why you had
Roger
probably
Goodell,
closer to
panderer?
10 million people turning the channel and turning to the Turning Point
All
event.
he cares about is
which
making
was
money.
pro-American.
You just don't know that's where the money is yet, do you? The most famous musician in the world is Bad Bunny right now. Are you fucking kidding me?
Which was absolutely beautiful, which had several references to God and faith and this country, which had a tribute to Charlie Kirk at the end of it, and talked about Jesus and how he can change your life. That's what America's all about. We were founded as a Christian nation. We're still a Christian nation. And what we want is somebody up there to celebrate how freaking special this country is, not a bunch of people who can't stand us. And over what? Over our desire to get illegal immigrants who are raping and molesting our children
Not
out
happening.
of our country. That's all ICE is doing.
Okay. Every new year, I think about why is right now the
God, he lets her
born-in,
go.
naturalized American. He is the most successful artist in the world. He's the most streamed artist globally on Spotify for 4 consecutive years. Nearly 20 billion downloads in 2025 alone.
Billion.
He has sold
Bitch,
123 million equivalent album sales. He's won Grammys. He's won everything. He is a fantastically successful American story, isn't he? And isn't the fact that he ends up performing at the halftime show exactly the kind of journey that America was founded on? Which is a
100%.
guy
The story-
who comes from very little, born in America, who actually
100%.
makes it to the biggest pinnacle because he is, right? I mean, look, I love Kid Rock, okay? And I actually really enjoy the Turning Point show as well. I like them both. But Kid Rock's not had a hit single in the last 11 years. This guy is right now the hottest star in the world, and he should be on the halftime show. I can't think of a compelling reason why
divisive. Because he's too divisive, Piers. That's
Oh,
I'm
like
giving you the
Kid
reason.
Rock,
Maybe
is it?
Because you're not an American, you don't get it. He is too divisive a figure. No one would begrudge him his personal success story. Good for him. Great. We love that here in America. Just like we love when our half-pipe freestyle skiers make it to the Olympics, despite all odds. They overcome them, but when you go overseas wearing the American uniform and you bash America on foreign soil, when you're wearing our stars and stripes, we get very upset here in America. It's not that we don't stand for free speech or differences of
Right.
opinion or love rags to riches stories. We do, all of those things. But there are certain things that we expect of the people who are representing us when they're overseas as Olympic athletes or when they're in the middle of the Super Bowl, which is our event. That is a heartland event that gets usually man, but lots of women too.
That's the
on their
idea.
feet,
You got
feeling
it.
Patriotic year after year. So one of the
You're
reasons
mad
why
because
we love
it's working.
it. And the last thing we want is someone who's a harsh partisan who we know can't stand.
Now, harsh partisan like Kid Rock. Yeah, he's really not partisan at all.
The country. And you're wrong. He wasn't totally patriotic at that event. He ended it by saying, God bless America, and then listed all the countries in all of the Americas, which is not how we here in the United States view the USA. We actually do believe in American exceptionalism, and we believe we actually do have a higher claim to morality than some of the countries he was listing,
What
like
the fuck
Mexico.
is she talking about? No, we don't.
But you wouldn't want him to have his First Amendment rights infringed on his ability to criticize certain policies of a particular
Of course not.
American
No one's talking about
government,
that,
would
but he
you?
has no right
As
to
an
perform at the
as
Super
an
Bowl.
American citizen? Really? That's disqualified. So
the First Amendment has nothing to do with it.
anyone who's ever been...
The First Amendment has nothing to do with it. The First Amendment is about government censorship of speech.
Hang on. Anyone who's been critical then of the U.S. government should not be allowed to perform at the halftime show. Is that your position?
I don't think that'd be my selection. I do think you should find somebody who is more of a unifier, and there are plenty of them. There are still millions of people out there who have very strong political opinions, but they don't voice them publicly because they realize they're in a line of work where that could be alienating to their customer base. The same is true for these performers. And if you want to be super outspoken, if you want to be a Jane Fonda, then go for it. But don't expect yourself to be placed in the middle of what's supposed to be a nonpartisan event and be a so-called unifier. We put up with this year after year after year. But right now, we're in a serious battle over immigration enforcement, something the country voted for overwhelmingly. And to pick two acts who are as outspoken against that as these two and plop them in the middle of the event is a middle finger by Roger Goodell. It's picking a side in the most divisive debate we're having right now in the country. And it was wrong. It was a mistake.
Good. Well, I'm glad we reached a point of zero agreement on that. Well, let's move to an issue where I think we will agree, and this is the separate issue of Hunter Hess, the
He's
U.S.
like me and my chatter. Zero agreement, but
Winter Olympic skier, who said this at the weekend.
It brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. I think for me, it's more I'm representing my friends and family back home, the people that represent it before me, all the things that I believe are good about the U.S. I just think if it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S.
You see, I think when you're representing your, I'm trying to think, what would I feel if that was a Team GB guy saying that about Britain? And I wouldn't like it, because I think if you're representing your country
Yeah.
in a global event like the Olympics, just avoid criticizing your country while you're doing it. It seems to me pretty
Correct.
straightforward transactional deal.
Do you know what athletes over here would give to don the stars and stripes and go represent the United States at the Olympic Games? Anything. Anything. Those things get decided by one
She's like, do you know what the racist ones would give up to do this?
100th of a second when it comes to speed or landings, etc. And this guy, he gets the privilege of going, and he has forgotten the most important lesson of the great Herb Brooks, who coached the Miracle on Ice team that won against the Russians in 1980 in an event so historic. They've made several movies out of it and documentaries beyond, which is the name on the front of your jersey is a whole hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. You go because you're representing the United States of America, not the guy back here. No one gives a damn about you, Mr. Hess. You'll be forgotten in about 2 minutes, whether you win gold or not. That's the truth. But your bad behavior about your country and the flag that you have been sent to represent will be remembered for a long time. You have single-handedly managed to alienate more than half the country, because it's not just conservatives who are outraged at this. There are still a lot of old, regular, moderate, liberal Americans who don't like this crap. If you can't represent the
he
country
earned his time
proudly,
to speak on that podium. He
don't
says what the
go.
fuck he
and
wants.
he says, oh, I'm representing my family and my friends.
Yeah, he earned the right to get up there. He can say whatever the fuck he wants, and you need to shut up, just like you can say whatever the fuck you want in front of the mic when you get the opportunity, okay? That's my opinion.
They don't have the power to let you wear those stars and stripes. They are not empowered to grant you that uniform and let you say you represent the United States of America and run in the red, white, and blue, or ski in the red, white, and blue. They can't do that for you. Your friends and family can give you the hot cocoa when you come in from the mountain.
What do you mean? They raised that bitch.
The stars and stripes and America on your back. So if you can't represent that country proudly, get that jersey off of your back and give it to someone who can. I think I speak for most Americans when I say we'd rather lose. We'd rather come in third or second or not place at all than win with the guy who can't stand the country he's doing it on behalf of.
Today's show is sponsored by Oxford Natural, makers of
happening in the trans community. We'd have to debate it because
because I kind of agree with you. And one of my teams said, okay, but what would you feel if someone from the Russian team or the Chinese team suddenly spoke out against their governments?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Would we say the same thing, or would we actually cheer them on? It's an interesting question.
Well, I don't think we'd have to debate it because they'd be dead before the beginning of their heat. I mean, China does not tolerate that, and really Russia doesn't either. It's only America that, of course, that's the bitter irony. Like, you know, there's an ice skater, Piers, some no-name loser, who got out there and ripped on America too because she's pansexual. No one even knows what the hell that is. It's fake, made-up bullshit. So she gets out there to say, like, I'm queer, I'm pansexual, and it's been a really tough time for people in the LGBTQ blah, 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 community lately. Really? What gay rights have you not enjoyed as an American citizen? Nothing. It's a lie. She's, first of all, trying to glom onto what's happening in the trans community, which the LGB people have broken up with, but she hasn't gotten the memo because there's complete...
Good evening. How are you?
Parity and equal rights for all gay people in America. There's an issue over trans people because that's a whole different kettle of fish. And even our Supreme Court has recognized that as of late. In any event, she's trying to glom on because she loves victimhood. So she's tried to raise it as a fake issue because that's just what she wants to do. Do you think...
Ventali chatters on YouTube now, too. Although it's a fucking delay of like 50 seconds right now. But yeah.
You could do that in Russia? You think you could even speak out? Will anybody from a country where
Oh,
they
you-
criminalize
hell
gay rights
yeah,
speak
let's
up? No, they
go.
won't. And as an American, I have no problem with that. There's a time and a place. You should speak up
It's a
for it when
W
you
for
can.
chatter.
When you're in your country, if you want to fight for freedom of speech, you want to fight for civil rights, go for it. If you can. The beauty of being in America is you can. You can burn our flag. You can stand on the sidewalks. I love protests. I would be fine with the anti-ICE protesters if they would just behave like normal humans instead of biting off the fingers of the ICE agents. I have a problem with that. That's not protest. That's criminality. So these people who want to go over there and criticize China or criticize Russia, okay, you should do that in your countries. You should do that when and if you can. And if you can't, it's a much bigger problem. The Iranians are dealing with that right now. As Americans,
She's so
we can
certain that
criticize
it's
our
like
government to
she's
high
so
heaven
confidently
anytime we want
certain
to.
and
All
wrong at
over
the same
our
time.
airwaves,
It's crazy.
in our thoughts, on our streets. It happens every day. That's part of what's so gorgeous.
Oh, you don't know Megyn Kelly? I guess that makes sense. Just like used to work for Fox News. Was a top dog on Fox News for a bit. I think that's where she used to work. Yeah, Fox News. Hell yeah. And then now it's just kind of like
And awesome about our
independent.
country, but these know-nothings don't understand that and want to go over there and tell
what is she, a nut job?
audiences that include people from China and elsewhere about our human rights
Oh, yeah,
violations, which are amorphous and unnamed, like from this
under this context,
queer
I can watch her
pansexual.
because I'm watching her
Megan,
with context.
as you know, I love you, and I particularly love you when you're on such feisty form, and I love arguing with you, actually, apart from anything else. But not
No, she's
everyone
not on
is
Twitch.
a
She's
super
on
Megyn
Rumble or
Kelly
something.
Fan. You've been taking a
She's
lot
been
of flack
banned, yeah.
recently. And I want to play a
For many
clip
times
from Kara
on
Swisher
doing different
from the
things.
podcast Pivot she does with Scott Galloway, who's actually coming on my show a little later today. So I want to get your response to this.
Hey, Megan, good to give you content. You'll attack me and not Scott.
It's like you can watch, yeah, you can watch
You, but that's fine. Whatever you want, girl.
Mike
next
Fuentes
up, Bill
on
Been on
Nye.
Megan's show.
Twitch,
Have you
but
been on her show?
No, of course
you
not.
can't broadcast on here.
Why would I
I
soil
don't get
myself?
it though. I think she's very talented.
She has turned into something else, Scott. You're not
It's
paying
something-
attention.
No, I would argue over the last few years, Megan has gone very, very conspiracy theory
Yeah.
and has decided the more insane, incendiary shit I say,
Mm-hmm.
is it that she's making money or has she seriously lost her shit?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Megan, they think you've gone bonkers. What is your response before I speak to Mr. Galloway a little later?
I mean, I'd love to know what his examples are of that because I'm the least conspiratorial person on camera. I believe we
Her
did
smile,
land
dude.
on the moon. I believe the Saudis were behind 9/11. I believe that Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK.
She's the
That's
cutest.
something my detractors want to say about me because they don't think I'm critical enough of Candace Owens.
Ex-Fox
That's really
girl.
what it's about. But let me tell you why Kara Swisher
brain rot.
actually doesn't like me. Because Kara Swisher is embarrassed.
Too bad.
Just bringing up my name triggers her because we used to be friends and I was going to go on her podcast. And I was booked for, I think, a Tuesday. And the previous Friday, my sister, who was only 58 years old, died. And my
Aw.
assistant sent Kara Swisher an email saying, Megan suffered a family emergency and she's not going to be able to make your podcast on Tuesday. And Kara Swisher responded by mocking me, saying she
Oh.
didn't believe that I had a family emergency and she thought I was too afraid to go on her podcast because I'd been in the news as being a controversial person for saying the COVID vaccine was causing deadly myocarditis in teenage boys.
Yeah, because
which
you were
we now
lying.
know was a fact, and I was
Oh,
right
yeah,
about it.
who knew it?
And
Who-
when
it's a fact,
ultimately,
sure.
2 days later or 3 days later, when I got back on Monday and it
Oh,
became
yeah, yeah,
national
you
news,
can
my
tell.
sister had died.
Oh, she's so good
did
at it.
she
Oh, she did her
send
good
an
job
email
good
saying,
when she
I'm
was
very
working for
embarrassed
Fox,
for
whatever
saying
channel,
that. I'm
Fox News.
very sorry for suggesting she didn't have a family emergency and that she was just afraid of me.
gone, dude.
No, she didn't. She wasn't sorry. She had made a fool out of herself, and she's been avoiding me ever since. That's Kara Swisher's problem.
Right.
And just on Candace Owens, you've been very supportive of her.
Yeah,
not
they-
critical.
her and Candace
even though
are very
she,
similar.
I would argue, and I have to her face when I've had her on the show. Well, I get on well with Candace, but some of the stuff she's been doing in relation to Eric
Resme.
Brigitte Macron, and others, I do think is
Not dumb. Very smart.
really regrettable.
Very,
kind of conspiracy
very
theory
smart-witted.
nonsense just for clicks and money.
Very good at what she does. Makes a
Why
lot of
would
money.
you hesitate before
Somehow.
criticizing her over stuff like that?
I've criticized Candace many times over the years. We've had many
Candace, Nick
fights over
Fuentes,
the
her,
years.
they're all kind of
but
the
isn't
same
it
kind of
interesting that you will, quote, platform Candace? She hasn't been on my show in several years, but I get all the hard time. Why am I getting there? You're the one, quote, platforming Candace Owens. She and I don't have that kind of relationship. Candace took a bunch of crap because she was very anti-Israel in the Gaza war. And it became a thing where you had to say she was terrible in her positioning. And then after Charlie died, she started questioning whether Israel had any role in it. And that's when they really tried to amp up the pressure on me to condemn her. And I refused because Charlie was starting to have serious questions about Israel. Not just its role in the Gaza war, but its influence on American politicians, something he and I spent hours and hours discussing. So I had no problem with Candace Owens asking those questions. And I refused to condemn her because I was under pressure from these people who wanted me to. And then that morphed into then everything Candace said thereafter, with which I may or may not have had serious problems, that I had to, where's the condemnation? And it was all really about the Israel thing. And I'd rather die than bend the knee to these people. I'd rather die than bend the knee. It won't happen. I didn't raise my fist and say BLM, and I'm not going to condemn the people they want me to condemn.
Definitely religious
just
too,
so that I can get a little pat on their head, on my head from
tends
them.
to
It's not
amplify
important to
their
me.
belief
What's
and other
important to
things
me
like
is
this.
I live free, and that, frankly, is what it means to be American.
Megyn Kelly, that is precisely why I am so fond of you. Thank you very much indeed for coming on Uncensored and giving me such a fantastic interview.
Lots of love.
Love.
Well, joining me now is the host of the Daily Wire's Michael Knowles Show, Michael Knowles, Jack Posobiec, the senior
One
editor
terrible
at
person,
Events, who
followed
openly
by another
alternative
terrible person. My
halftime
favorite
show,
kind of
Kid
show.
Rock. Glenn Greenwald, the host of System Update, and Mark Lamont Hill, host of Bet News. Panel, thank you for waiting patiently. Megyn had a lot to get off steam there. Let me start with you, Michael Knowles. That whole Bad Bunny thing, I can't help but think that we've got to a place now in the United States where everybody's desperation to march to their tribal tune overrides any sense of reality or just staying calm and looking at something objectively. I watched the Bad Bunny show. I saw nothing problematic about it at all. I saw a Latino rapper at the peak of his powers, absolutely killing it in terms of the production. And he's the most popular artist in the world right now. He belonged there. He owned the stage.
Probably
he
not.
Didn't criticize anybody. It was a message of love, of unity, of marriage. I don't get the rage about it.
Probably not. She doesn't got
Piers,
that
you
in her.
didn't get it because the English and the Americans are two people separated by a common language. So I forgive you for your misunderstanding, but the problem with it was that Bad Bunny hates America. He doesn't just hate one president or some other president. He doesn't just hate some policy or some other policy.
Where's their proof?
He is specifically irate over the enforcement of federal immigration law passed by
So he
both
hates
parties,
America.
enforced in history by both parties, and he has frequently thrown jabs at America, up to and including speaking a language that the vast majority of Americans do not speak at this performance. And then I think the key that he did not have good intentions here came at the end when he said, the one fleeting little bit of English in the performance, he said, "God bless America." And then he followed that up by naming a ton of Latin American countries. So when we hear...
Hey, bitch, the continent's called America. You dumb Knowles. Knowles the dum-dum.
God bless America. Traditionally, we use that to mean God bless our country. He was using this in an ironic way to say, you're not even America. And then he named Chile, Argentina, some countries that I do like, El Salvador, Cuba, you know, great cigars, and all of that. He didn't even make America the final country, the apotheosis. He then went on to say Canada. And then finally he said, and my homeland, Puerto Rico. So even though Bad Bunny's an American citizen, he made a point to clarify. He said, I don't really consider myself American. My homeland is Puerto Rico. It was just a thumb in the face of Americans, I think. And, you know, there were other problems with the performance. I agree some of the choreography was well done. But the question you got to ask is,
Bad Bunny was
the Super
great.
Bowl
What the
halftime
fuck?
show for? Is it just for great entertainment? Is it just for musical prowess? Not really. The whole point of public games, going back to antiquity, going back to ancient Greece, is
Dude, I could not let this guy yap for this long. I would mute him and say, "You shut up, you idiot." This is my show.
Patriotism is to support your country.
Anyone that objectively looks at the Bad Bunny show and says it was bad, other than unironically, I mean, of course, like, what the fuck? It was even better than the Kendrick one, which I thought was cool as fuck.
And this ran totally contrary to that. That was obviously Bad Bunny's intention. And I just think he had no place there. He can go sing his songs. He can get lots of streams on Spotify. But
bro, making money is what it's about. Old crusty guys singing crusty tunes doesn't make money. No one cares. The people that watch the NFL that listen to crusty old Ben are dying out, and the NFL knows it. This is what I mean. This guy's a dum-dum.
that's not what the Super Bowl's for.
Martin Monhill.
Yeah, it's going to continue to be the same. Sure. You think Gen Z wants to watch normal NFL like it was? There's not enough of them. What do you mean? Demographics not there. There's not enough right-wing MAGA nut job NFL lovers to keep the NFL alive. Are you dumb?
I mean, there are 54 million Americans who have Spanish as their first language at home. That number is rocketing year by year by year. So, in 20, 30 years, it's quite likely that the United States will have as many people who have Spanish as their first language as have English, which, by the way,
that's already
is my
50-50
language.
in Mexico.
So the language thing in particular, I don't get. This is a guy who's the most streamed guy in Spotify history, I think, and he always sings in Spanish. Every album he does, every song is in Spanish. There's nothing unusual about Bad Bunny singing
most of
in
the
Spanish.
people
and
that
if
are
54 million people
second or
in
third
America
generation Mexicans in
understand it,
my area
does it really
can speak
matter
both
that
English
a few other
and
people like
Spanish
me, for
fluently.
example, watching from London, didn't understand what he was saying but enjoyed the show?
Especially if they're under 40.
That's exactly right. I mean, there are a few things here. First, you're right. 54 million people speak it as a first language. Tens of millions more speak it enough to understand it. So
See?
it's not as if he was speaking in
Muy
some cryptic,
poquitos.
indecipherable, obscure language. You're speaking in one of the most important languages in the world, and certainly one of the most important languages in the United States. But let's not pretend that Americans only enjoy music that they understand. I mean, half the people, you go to any white bar in America and let it get late enough and Macarena come on.
Yeah.
I promise you, they will be dancing their asses off and they won't know a word of it. And guess what? It's just okay. But
Even Michael Knowles
is
is
about the language.
laughing.
It's about the dancing, it's about the set design, it's about the lighting, it's about all of the things that made that such a beautiful performance. You mentioned the wedding that took place, all these other things that took place there. I thought it was an amazing performance. I also just want to push back against this idea that Bad Bunny hates America. If
Thank you.
Bad
Finally,
Bunny were
someone.
to be someone who hated America, being from a colonized land of Puerto Rico, it would be understandable. But I don't want to conflate a principled critique of America or immigration or ICE with hating America. I have the same critique he does. Does that mean I hate America? Does everybody on the left hate America?
Yes.
I'm sure people on the right would say yes.
Basically.
But that becomes exactly. But that's what makes the argument so unhelpful for the bigger conversations, because we position anyone who disagrees with American policy or challenges American power arrangements as being
Is that my doorbell?
and that's the
Not
issue.
anyone.
So I
In
think
certain
the performance was great. Okay,
Why
fair
is
enough.
Yeah,
But I
someone
think
always
that
ringing
conversation becomes
Pierce's
so
doorbell
expansive that it outlives
while he's
the
on
people.
stream now? Please.
We just lost Jack briefly. We've got a tech issue. We're going to try and get him back. But Glenn Greenwald, it was a really interesting thing to watch it clean without having any
Oh, no, that's a
social
Zoom call,
media
sorry.
reviews to look at first. I just watched it. First thing I did this morning, I watched it, and I really enjoyed it. And then I turned on social media, and suddenly I had to hate it or I had to love it, but there was no middle ground, there was no nuance, there was nothing allowed. The president said it was the worst halftime show ever, just objectively from a piece of theatre. It's very hard to argue. Look, I think Michael Jackson did the greatest one ever.
Oh, come on with the Michael Jackson. Who cares?
But as a piece of theatre,
Fuck the
I
Prince
thought
one
this
too.
was
Who
the
cares?
best I've ever seen. It was so
Yeah, they were
elaborate,
great.
so smart, so clever, and I didn't get a sense of hatred. In fact, quite the opposite. I got a sense of love and marriage and harmony and unity. And I don't even agree about the Americas stuff because, you know, the Americas are the Americas. And what's wrong with actually a Latino
feels the same way.
rapper acknowledging that the Americas
He's
go
not
a
even a
little bit
rapper,
further than just the
necessarily.
United States of America?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think to me that's kind of the heart of the matter. I personally didn't like the halftime show all that much. Just like from a musical perspective, it's not the music I like. I'm not of the
Dumbass.
generation that, you know, likes Bad Bunny. That's totally fine. I think
What do
the
you
question
mean?
is why does everything now have to be put through this prism of this like existential right-left culture war? We can't even have the same halftime shows anymore at the Super Bowl. Kid Rock is an extremely ideological and politicized
thank
figure.
you.
Had he been the host of the presenter of the Super Bowl, the main presenter, I assume that the American right would have been fine with that, even though he's been extremely critical of American policy under Democratic presidents. Music and art of all kinds typically has a politicized component to it. We've had a ton of non-Americans be at the halftime show before, like Rihanna and Paul McCartney and The Who and Coldplay. It goes on and on. Here's an American presenter who's extremely successful. And I just think the problem is everything gets catastrophized into this like intense culture war where you can't just say, I like the show or I don't, I like this artist or I don't. The reality is he's a gigantic, extremely popular musician among tens of millions of Americans, arguably the most popular, one of the top 5. And that's what the Super Bowl is naturally looking for.
Yeah, Jack Posobiec, welcome back. We lost you briefly there. Look, I got to say, you know, you were obviously instrumental in the rival show that went up. I really enjoyed that too. I watched all that in full as well, and I really enjoyed it. I love Kid Rock. I've interviewed him. I think he's a great character. But I think the point Glenn made there is
he calls him a
perfectly
character,
made, which is
he's a great
if
character.
He had been selected, Kid Rock, to perform the halftime show during a Democratic presidency, like say Joe Biden or Barack Obama. You know, he's on record as being virulently critical of all those presidencies. You know, would the same rules apply? You know, would the conservative right be happy with that? Or would they apply intellectual honesty and say, actually, it applies to our side too? If you've been really critical of a president or a presidency, then de facto you're criticizing the country and you disqualify yourself from being able to perform the halftime show. In other words, I think there is an intellectual dishonesty here. And it's very tribal. And in this case in particular, I don't see how anybody who watched it with an open mind could not conclude it was just a very fun, entertaining 15 minutes, as was your show.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. And, you know,
Oh, yeah,
I
really?
think part of this, too, is, you know, we want to make sure that we're comparing apples to oranges because, you know, country music and rock music have not been featured at the Super Bowl in decades. And this was a key
Because it's not
reason
popular,
that
you
when
fucking
look at
idiot.
The show that we put on, you've got Kid Rock, who, you know, kind of straddles that bridge between rock, and he
He's
does
got
a
a
little
flanker.
rap sometimes, like certainly in his earlier stuff. And then he also has country music with his newer stuff, moving obviously now
Are you
into
mining?
Christian with his latest song, which is tearing up the charts right now, Till You Can't, that cover that he did, added to it with the tribute to Charlie. And so this is a group of people, this audience of people, which, by the way, overlaps very much with the demographics of who watches the NFL, who watches the Super Bowl, that has been completely underserved because for years, the Super Bowl, going back to 2019, signed a deal with Rock Nation that's run by Jay-Z, as Megyn Kelly was talking about that a little bit a while ago. And they've completely rejected these type of artists. So country music, rock music, not shown the type of music that middle America, average Americans, what they would refer to as flyover
What do you
America.
mean?
Stephen Colbert was attacking people the other day saying, oh, these are a bunch of unknowns, you know, can't even pronounce their names, right? And then we got more views than he did. And by the way, the numbers just speak for themselves. It was the #1 entertainment event in YouTube history, the #1 U.S. live stream in U.S. history, or excuse me, YouTube history, #1 American event in YouTube history, #1 English language live stream in YouTube history. So the numbers speak for themselves. There were a lot of people who switched over last night.
But why can't we just enjoy both? Why does it have to be politicized, or as Glenn put it, catastrophized, where everyone races to be kind of virulent, when actually, what's there to be virulent about? I mean, if Bad Bunny had turned all political during the performance, I'd agree with you. It would have been inappropriate.
Well, he was politicizing it before. That he was the one who politicized it in the first place.
was at the
This isn't even the
Grammys.
first time that Bad Bunny has played a Super Bowl, right? He performed with Shakira
That's right.
back in 2019 when she was up on stage. He had
That's
like
right.
a smaller part, a backup singer, but he wasn't being political back then. So nobody really batted an eye. Nobody had a problem with it.
No, he wasn't being
Shakira,
political.
Obviously, she's I think Colombian. Jennifer Lopez played there. She has a Puerto Rican ancestry, and nobody cared. It was just a nice Latin music show. The point was that he was being political all the way through. His choice back, I think it was October when they announced him, is really what drove so many people to say, you know what, I don't want to watch a show like that. We're going to turn the channel. We're going to put on something else. And we were able to really step up and meet that demand for something that's just pro-America, is in English, celebrates the country, and by the way, reaches out to a group of people that have been overlooked for
Got our
decades
base, dude.
by the NFL.
Fuck you, dude.
Yeah,
But you know, Michael
just
Knowles,
to be clear,
I mean, well,
No one
hang
cares.
on one second. Just going to go to Michael. You know, I made this point to Megyn Kelly earlier, is in a way, he's the perfect American story. He was born in Puerto Rico, part of the United States. His dad was a truck driver.
I gotta go
His
chat.
mum was a teacher. You know, he wasn't born with any money or any privilege. He worked his way to the top. He worked hard. He got a break.
We won.
Took it. And he's become the biggest
Yeah, unfortunately.